Chapter 1596, No One Can Stop Me. Chapter 1596, No One Can Stop Me. Terrifying to the extreme, the strength of the 8 King Kong was not a problem for her to deal with a divine-level powerhouse of the blend for Godhead. However, the battle letter was a powerhouse that he had condensed a divine spark with. His cultivation and the blend for Godhead's powerhouse were completely different, and his strength was on a completely different level. He was too strong. Too strong. 8 King Kong was like an ant in front of him, all of them were killed with a single move. The pubes was the source of all energy. The fact that pubes were crippled meant that they had become useless. He wouldn't be able to train for the rest of his life. The battle letter laughed wildly in glee. 8 King Kong? Ha ha ha. From today onwards, you will be called the 8 Great Trash, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The elders and disciples of the Zhon's Elder S and Shenyuan nationality S all laughed out loud. Shenyuan Lai's heart also relaxed a little. The Zhon clan had finally won. If they were to be displeased with the war letter, the entire Shenyuan nationality would be in trouble. At the same time, Shenyuan Lai shouted loudly, and said, Shenyuan Xiong, so who's the winner of this round? Shenyuan Xiong's gaze tensed up. Shenyuan Lai sneered, and said, What do you have to say now? Quickly agree to Zhon's elder's advance. The war letter looked at Shenyuan Xiong with scorn, and said, I'm very curious, where did Long Fei go? The 8 King Kong has been crippled, and he still hasn't appeared. He must have fled. Ha ha ha. Long Fei. The war letter disdainfully laughed, truly a piece of trash. Li Yuanbar's entire body was drenched in cold sweat from the pain. He roared out, The boss will not escape. I am not trash, just you wait, he will come to kill you soon. The letter laughed, if he had come then he would have come long ago but hasn't shown up yet. That can only mean that he has escaped. If you want to talk about trash, then he is indeed trash. The pubes is broken and his veins are clogged. If this isn't trash, then what is he? This is perfect for you guys, ha ha ha. The letter laughed. Regardless of whether Long Fei escaped or not, this battle had heavily injured Long Fei. That was enough. Long Fei still had to leave it for Zhon Wushuang to kill. This way, Zhon Wushuang would have no regrets in the Chaos Realm and it would be even better to enter the ancient holy battlefield. Aoya replied seriously, Long Fei is not a trash. Our boss isn't a trash. 7 King Kongs clamored. However, their voices sounded a bit weak and weak. It was difficult for them to even speak right now. Their stomachs were aching, and as their strength faded away, his cultivation would slowly decline to 0. Worse than an ordinary person. Looking at their 7 King Kongs, he said, Staying alive is also a burden. I originally wanted to heavily injure you guys to lure Long Fei out, but since he doesn't come out, you guys should lose any value in using him. Go and die. Suddenly, he moved. The aura of the war letter exploded. It was also at this time. Shenyuan Xiong said heavily, You have already crippled them, you have already won, why are you still trying to kill them all? They are no longer a threat to the Zhon clan. Shenyuan Xiong blocked in front. Nangong Yang also rushed forward and blocked it. The 8 of them had already been crippled. To them, surviving was already a painful thing. The war letter stared at Shenyuan Xiong and said, You want to stop me? Shenyuan Xiong clenched his fists tightly and said, Yes. A killing intent poured out of the battle letter's gaze. Shenyuan Lai was secretly happy, he feigned a cold and righteous look, and said, Shenyuan Xiong, move away, 8 King Kong is not related to us at all. What do you want? Stop the Zhon's elder. Are you crazy? Shenyuan Xiong didn't care about it at all. He felt that he wouldn't shrink away from the choice he made. Even though he did not know where Long Fei had gone to, but since Long Fei had handed over the 8 King Kong to him, he definitely had to protect their lives. The war letter said gloomily, Let me ask you one more time. Are you sure you want to stop me? The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. Shenyuan Xiong said unwaveringly, I promised Long Fei that I would definitely protect 8 King Kong. With just you. The battle letter stared at Shenyuan Xiong and sneered, Do you think you have the qualifications? Heh. His aura stirred. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Waves of power held the throats of the 7 of them in place and lifted them into the air. The 7 of them struggled. His face darkened. Nangong Yang flew up to the sky and used her sword to cut down the power that was suppressing them, but it was completely useless, as her strength was even more lacking. The letter laughed coldly and said, "Stop me. Shenyuan Xiong, can you hold on? There is no one in this world who can stop me from writing my war letter." Arrogant. Zhonxin laughed coldly, "If I want to kill someone, they have to die. Just with you, an ant, Shenyuan Xiong? Who do you think you are? Stop me. Stop them." The power of the battle letter was even more ferocious. The 7 of them struggled in mid-air, their faces were black, their eyes white. All of their energy had been drained from their pubes. He was even inferior to an ordinary person. With their throats strangled by the powerful divine power, they were powerless to resist. Shenyuan Xiong's face sank, and said, "I beg you, please let them go." 8 King Kong was one of Long Fei's 8 brothers. Shenyuan Xiong knew that these 8 people were very special. He could not afford to make the slightest mistake. If anything were to happen to them, he would really let Long Fei down. He had done something that made him regret before. He did not notify anyone about the Hell Gate's tragic event, but this time, he didn't want to be wrong again. The war letter laughed heartily and said, "Are you begging me? Kneel." Shenyuan Xiong's gaze tightened, and said, "Will you let them go if I kneel down and beg you?" The war letter laughed complacently. "How do you know I won't let you go without kneeling?" Plop. Shenyuan Xiong immediately knelt on the ground, and said, "I beg you, please let them go." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The battle letter and Shenyuan Lai both laughed. The war letter's eyes turned sinister as it laughed. "Kneel down and beg me." Shenyuan Xiong's fists were clenched tightly, which made an explosive sound as he said solemnly, "War letters, one must not be so shameless." The battle letter disdained, "Shenyuan Xiong, this is the world of the powerhouse, do you understand? Kneel down and kowtow." Li Yuanbar said with difficulty, "Uncle Shenyuan, don't. 7 King Kongs shook their heads. Nangong Yang slashed crazily, but it was completely useless. It would be best to shout into the sky, as though his heart was being torn to shreds, "Long Fei, where are you? Come quickly. Long Fei. Long Fei. Hurry up and save them." The 7 King Kongs was dying. If they did not release their grip, they would be strangled to death. Shenyuan Xiong looked at Li Yuanbar and the others, and kowtowed heavily. The letter laughed. The Zhon's elder laughed. Many of the elders of the Shenyuan nationality also began to laugh at him in disdain. Shenyuan Lai was ecstatic in his heart, but he said, "Shenyuan Xiong, all of Shenyuan nationality's face has been thrown away by you." Shenyuan Xiong did not mind that others were laughing at him. He looked at the battle channel and said, "Can you let them go now?" The war letter smiled playfully and said, "Did I say to release them?" Ah! Ha ha ha. Chapter 1597 Long Fei arriving. Chapter 1597 Long Fei arriving. He played with it in the middle of his applause. Was this the means of the powerhouse? Kneeling, kowtowing, but Shenyuan Xiong only received ridicule. The battle letter did not have any intention to let go of 7 King Kongs at all, but instead laughed out loud. Looking at Shenyuan Xiong who was kneeling on the ground, it began to laugh loudly. Weak. An ant. Powerhouse. The overlord. Everything was under his control. No conditions. Nangong Yang couldn't help but cry loudly, "Long Fei, come quickly, come quickly. Long Fei, come back quickly." Ah! The letter coldly smiled, "No one in this world can save you, and no one can stop me. Shenyuan Xiong. If you weren't Shenyuan Li's father, you would already be a corpse." Zhonxin's words chilled as he icily replied. Shenyuan Xiong got up from the ground and walked towards the battle letter step by step. Shenyuan Li yelled, "Shenyuan Xiong, what do you want to do? You dare be disrespectful to Zhon's elder?" He simply did not place Shenyuan Xiong in his eyes at all. The powerhouse of the blend for Godhead were like trash in his eyes. The divine sparks Shenyuan Xiong fused with were all given to him by the Zhon clan. He understood his cultivation level very well. Shenyuan Xiong stopped 3 meters away from the battle letter and asked, Are you going to let them go? His tone was cold. Zhongxin sneered and said, No. Shen Yuanxiong said, At our current distance of 3 meters, I can instantly rush to your side and explode my divine spark in an instant. Although it might not be enough to kill you, it will definitely severely injure you. A divine spark exploding? Divine explosion. This was him pouring all of his power into the divine spark, fission taking place. A huge divine explosion was produced. This power was extremely strong. Powerful to the point of dragging a war letter into the jaws of death. However, very few people would dare to do such a thing, because, once the divine burst Yuan spirit was destroyed, there would be no chance left. At this moment, the entire arena suddenly quieted down. Shen Yuanxiong was a divine-ranked powerhouse. He had fused with his divine spark, but at the same time, he could release a divine explosion. Everyone shivered. He was really too close to Shen Yuanxiong at the moment, and it was just as Shen Yuanxiong had said. If he were to go all out, he was truly in the range of a divine explosion. At this moment, the rage in Zhongxin's heart surged. This was the first time he got angry. Because Shen Yuanxiong's threat. Shen Yuanlai shouted anxiously, Shen Yuanxiong, what are you trying to do? Do you want to destroy the Shen Yuan nationality? Even if you don't think for yourself, you still have to think for so many of your people. If it really was a divine explosion, he would also be killed. Then all the hard work he had done in his life would have been in vain. Shen Yuanxiong completely ignored him, shouted loudly, and said, I'm just asking if you're letting me go. Their auras were like a rainbow. Savage to the extreme. He was giving it his all. War Letter's face became even more unsightly, as he felt extremely unwell in his heart. Shen Yuanxiong, do you know the consequences of offending me? Don't speak nonsense to Laozi. Release, or not release. Shen Yuanxiong glared and roared. All of the energy in his body was surging, and this surge could be seen with the naked eye. He had never been so domineering in his life before. Just as Long Fei had said, if you don't accept it, you dare. This feeling was really good. War Letter. At this moment, he was also going to become a coward. Shen Yuanxiong stared at the battle letter angrily, and shouted, Are you not letting me go? Boom. His body let out a strong explosive sound. The War Letter's eyes turned grim. The 3 Zhong clan elders stepped forward. Elder, we. Shen Yuanlai slightly retreated, and reminded her, Elder, Shen Yuanxiong has already gone crazy. Since they are all crippled, it's even worse to live than die. Why don't we? They were all scared. In the face of death, everyone was afraid. People like War Letter were even more so. Divine-level powerhouse were also likely to die, and they were extremely afraid of death. Shen Yuanxiong was holding onto the bomb and asked you, is he going to retreat or not? He was very unhappy with his battle confidence, but he still had not found a way to instantly deal with Shen Yuanxiong. Furthermore, he did not dare take the risk easily, as the closer he got to Shen Yuanxiong, the more dangerous it became. Finally, the War Letter replied solemnly, All right, I'll do it. However, Shen Yuanxiong, you will suffer a miserable fate. Shen Yuanxiong didn't care in the slightest, and said, Don't bother saying that, quickly let them go. Bang, bang, bang. 7 King Kongs all fell down from the sky and hit the ground, as the injuries sustained were not light. All of them were breathing heavily, feeling extremely uncomfortable. Shen Yuanxiong immediately said, Nangong Yang, bring them and leave this place. Nangong Yang said, Uncle, what about you? Shen Yuanxiong said, Don't worry about me, take them and leave first. His life was no longer important. As long as Long Fei could save his daughter, his life was no longer important. Shen Yuanxiong shouted at Shen Yuanlai, and said, Let them out. Shen Yuanlai did not dare to move recklessly, and could only do so. Nangong Yang supported the 2 people who were the most severely injured, while the other 5 supported the 2. Li Yuanbar looked at Shen Yuanxiong and said, Uncle, be careful. They were already a cripple, and staying here would only be a burden. Shen Yuanxiong smiled lightly and said, I'll be fine. His heart had just relaxed. However, it was because of this that the War Letter suddenly moved and struck out, threatening me? Shen Yuan Xiong, you must be tired of living. Bam! It was too fast. It was fast to the point that he could not react. Just because of a slight moment of relaxation, the battle letter had discovered it. Moreover, in this instant, a huge force came out and struck Shen Yuan Xiong, sending him flying with a palm. Rumble. Rumble. Shen Yuan Xiong's body flew several kilometers and fell into the ruins, blood hanging from the corner of his mouth, on his last breath. War Letter was enraged and roared, threatening me. All must die. Shen Yuan Xiong laid in the rubble, unable to get up. At this time, Nangong Yang and the others had not yet walked out of the courtyard. At this moment, Shen Yuan Lai immediately shouted, "Stop them!" The Shen Yuan nationality's disciples instantly surrounded Nangong Yang and the two of them. The battle letter slowly turned around and stared at Li Yuanba as it coldly laughed, and said, "If I want to kill someone, no one has yet escaped." The seven of them tried their best to stabilize themselves as they stood there. Aoya said to Nangong Yang, "Big sister Yang, quickly go yourself." Li Yuanba remained unyielding, and shouted, "Come, kill us. Just you wait, boss will definitely mow down your Zhong clan's ancestral tombs." Ha ha ha. Li Yuanba started to laugh maniacally. The other six began to laugh wildly as well. From start to finish, they were not afraid at all. It was the same with death. Zhongxin smiled coldly and replied, "Don't worry. He will soon go to hell to find you. Now go and die." He exerted his strength. Buzz. Divine might killing intent surged towards the 8 people one after another. It was also at this moment. With a flash of light, a figure descended. Chapter 1598, Level 10 Berserk. Chapter 1598, Level 10 Berserk. Boom. With an explosive sound, the light exploded. Boss. Long Fei. Long Fei looked at the mess around him, saw that the 7 King Kong's face was pale white and blood was hanging from the corner of his mouth, and then, when he saw that only the 7 King Kongs was present, he immediately asked, "It's in the ruins in the distance. I don't know what's happening now." Without waiting for Li Yuanba to finish, Long Fei's anger instantly ignited as his entire body turned scarlet red. His rage was boundless as he stared at the battle letter and shouted word by word, "Move, brother, die." Every word was filled with killing intent. Moreover, at this moment, the killing intent on his body burned crazily. It was sinister and terrifying to the extreme. Shen Yuan Lai sneered, and said, "Long Fei, you dog finally came." Zhongxin laughed coldly and said, "Long Fei, I didn't think that you would actually dare to come back. What a suicide." Long Fei did not speak. His right hand moved. Boom. The sword of destroy fell into his hands. Boom. The flames began to burn. A sneer still hung on Zhongxin's face as he said, "You overestimate yourself. With just you. Long Fei, you are just a little ant. You don't even have the qualifications for me to attack you, yet you want to fight against Zhong clan? Fight with Wu Shuang? Do you think you're qualified?" Long Fei still did not speak. However, the aura around his body suddenly became different. Zhongxin's gaze froze. This aura. There's a sense of déjà vu. Shen Yuan Lai smiled slightly. "Elder, let me handle this brat." Finished. Shen Yuan Lai walked forward, stared at Long Fei and gave a cold snort, then said, "Brat, back then you gave me 2 tight slaps, today I want your life." Boom. With a burst of power, Shen Yuan Lai's semi-realistic realm's aura was released. He took a step forward. He rushed to Long Fei's side and thrusted his sword towards Long Fei's throat. Long Fei stood in place without moving an inch. Shen Yuan Lai laughed out loud and said, "Brat, go and die for me, ha ha ha." His speed increased once again. Countless figures charged towards Long Fei as Nangong Yang gave a loud shout, "Long Fei, be careful. Why isn't he moving? Has he gone mad? Trash is trash." They must have been crushed by the clan leader's pressure and were unable to move. Ha ha ha. You will soon fall to the ground and become a dead dog. Serves him right. Look at how arrogant he is. The surrounding crowd burst into laughter. However, just as Shen Yuan Lai's 1000 transformation body was about to enter a strange gust of air, It was as if a meat grinder was suddenly operating very quickly in the air. Catcher, catcher, catcher. Bang, bang, bang. The 1,000 changes and 10,000 illusions of his body had been completely twisted to pieces. Real face Shen Yuanlai's body had also instantly turned into a cloud of blood fog. Moreover, Shen Yuanlai didn't even let out a single scream. This power. Too terrifying. The surroundings were completely silent. No one could make a sound, all of them stared at Long Fei with their mouths wide open. Even the battle letter could not understand what kind of power it was. It was just a stream of air. How could there be such a powerful force? I don't understand. He didn't understand at all. The battle letter's forehead tightened. He felt that this current of air was very familiar, but he just couldn't remember when he had seen it before. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Shen Yuanlai for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 holy source points, and 10 energy values point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining. A series of notifications sounded. Long Fei didn't mind in the slightest. But, just then, the system beep sounded out again. Ding. Special reminder, your striking energy value has reached the 10th level. Ding. Special reminder, your striking energy value has reached the 10th level. Ding. Special reminder, your striking energy value has reached the 10th level. The system beeped 3 times. Long Fei's heart trembled. Level 10 Berserk. F***CK, they're finally here. As for the Berserk amongst them, they're already at level 10. He hadn't used his striking attribute for a long time. Because Long Fei had been waiting for level 10 Berserk, he wanted to see what exactly this level 10 Berserk would do. Now, it was finally full. Level 10 Berserk, full state of striking energy value. Long Fei stared at the battle letter and laughed sinisterly. I'll test you first. It was also at this time. Shen Yuan tribesman reacted. A few clan elders immediately rushed over. Kid, return our clan leader's life. Today you will die here. Long Fei, go and die. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several figures flew up. They were all high-ranking elders of the Shen Yuan nationality, and they all wanted to show off in front of the Zhon clan at this time, because if they were recognized by Zhonyi, they could very well become the next battle clan patriarch. However, they had forgotten how Shen Yuanlai had died. Just as their figures entered the range of Long Fei's airflow, they immediately went on a killing spree. They were just like Shen Yuanlai, who could not even make a sound. It could be said that it was an instant kill. If you go in, you die. There was no chance at all. Battle letter's forehead sank. He had always been thinking, constantly thinking, just what kind of power was it? At this time, one of the Zhon's elder whispered, Elder, I will try. Sure. He flew straight up into the air, and pierced down towards Long Fei's head, when his sword was 3 meters away from Long Fei's head. Crack, crack, catcher. After turning into a cloud of blood mist, he was different from Shen Yuan tribesman. He let out a loud roar and said with a heavy voice, Sword Chi, Sword Chi. And then, instant kill, death. The system sounded out. To be able to kill a divine in an instant, this power was too terrifying. Sword Chi. With these 2 words, Long Fei's body did not have any sword chi at all, it was only the airflow. Could it be that the airflow was the sword chi? Yi Zichen frowned. Long Fei did not have the slightest bit of sword intent. How could there be sword chi? But it was impossible for that elder to deceive him. Sword chi, sword chi. The war letter kept on going through his mind, but suddenly, the center of his brows shook as he thought of the stream of air in the sky. He suddenly became alarmed and looked at Long Fei. Could it be? Have you comprehended the true meaning of Sky Shatter Sword? Rumble. The sky exploded. A thunderous roar rang out. At this moment, the elders in the clan hall of the Shen Yuan nationality flew out one after another. Long Fei grinned coldly, and said, Now you know? Battle Letter's expression sank, and said, Sky Shatter Sword is a huge lie, so what if he exists? You want to kill me? Ha ha ha. He did not put any Sky Shatter Sword in his eyes at all. He could kill gods. The strongest in Chaos Realm is a god, it is impossible to kill a god. Can't kill you? Then let's give it a try. Long Fei roared, a powerful energy brewing out. The heaven-decimating sword in his hand moved. Sky Shatter Sword, cut for me. Chapter 1599 Sky Shatter Sword, instant kill. Chapter 1599 Sky Shatter Sword, instant kill. Rumble. The Sword of Destroy moved, its sword chi shooting up into the sky. Clouds swirled in the air. Sinking. Sinking. It was as if the sky had been pierced. Moreover, everything within a radius of 10,000 kilometers was enveloped in sword chi. Sky-breaking force. It's the sky-breaking sword technique, It was a sword technique left behind by the master. How could it be? How did he figure it out? When countless Shenyuan tribesmen felt this powerful sword chi, they were all stunned. After millions of years of time, they had not even been able to comprehend a single fart, yet Long Fei only used 3 days of time to comprehend it. Why is that? He didn't understand it at all. Those elders from the Elders' Pavilion had ugly expressions on their faces. It was as if they had been humiliated. At the same time, they were shocked that the heaven-breaking sword technique that had disappeared for millions of years could appear in the world again. That was to say, as long as Long Fei was willing to teach them the heaven-breaking sword technique, they could too. I've comprehended it. Long Fei comprehended it. Aoya excitedly smiled. She and Long Fei had comprehended the heaven-breaking sword technique together, but she had layers upon layers of shackles on her. She was unable to comprehend the true meaning of the powerful sword technique, but Long Fei was able to do it. What heaven-breaking sword technique? Li Yuanba and the others were confused. They did not know that Long Fei had been training the heaven-breaking sword technique for the past 3 days. You will know soon enough. The battle letter sneered. What nonsense is this heaven-breaking sword technique? It is only the Shenyuan nationality lying to his descendants. Even with this sword technique, in this chaos realm, it is also the god that is king. Boom. Battle letter's aura exploded. Unrivaled divine might. The strong power erupted like a volcano. Zhonxin's eyes turned sinister as he stared at the chi flow revolving around Long Fei's body. He said, Long Fei, die. Shua. With a single step, he exploded forth. Too fast. It was so fast that even the reaction of the idea could not keep up. The letter of war had brought out the full potential of the divine-level realm and no one could stop it. However, he was fast. The heaven-smiting sword intent that erupted from Long Fei's body was even faster. The sword of destroy in his hand slashed out. Shua. A beam of light shot out. Like a shooting star. Sword chi. The sword energy at the speed of light formed a thin line as it slashed down. Boom. A loud sound was heard as the sword chi slammed into Zhonxin's chest. Then, Zhonxin fiercely charged forward with a shua sound. Swish, swish, swish. The letter of war was thrown into the void. Bang, bang, bang. Layer after layer of explosions occurred in the air. Wherever the sword chi went, a thin crack appeared, as if there was a thread in the sky. Ah! 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 The letters of war constantly issued out miserable cries. His back hit the air and was badly mutilated. Moreover, he continuously used his strength to resist, but it was completely useless. It was simply impossible to break free. Injured my brother? With just you. Long Fei's eyes were brimming with anger. That's great. You say that I don't have the qualifications? Now, are we F*** king qualified enough? Heh! Long Fei was like a madman. He roared like a devil, the millions of holy sauce on his body crazily consumed. The sword aura released by the sword of destroy crazily crushed him. A god-level battle letter didn't have the slightest temper. He couldn't break free at all, and it was incomparably uncomfortable. Shua. Thousands of meters away. One line went through the other, slicing the valley into a straight line, and another line appeared. The letter of war fell on the ground, still gasping for breath, as it shouted, Long Fei, I will definitely not let you go. You won't let me go. Ha ha ha. Do you think I'll let you go? Just now, he had only released a stream of sword chi, but the power of that sword chi had instantly taken over half of Zhonxin's life. However, At this moment, Long Fei leapt into the air. Looking at the fallen war letter, he smiled sinisterly and said, "This is only the beginning." Zhong Xin's face darkened. "You dare to kill me? Don't say it's you. Even if it's your ancestor, your father will still kill him." Long Fei struck down with his heavy blow, sky-breaking slash. Instant kill. His sword slashed down, right at the top of Zhong Xin's head. In that instant, the aura within 1,000,000 kilometers seemed to have been sucked out completely by the heaven-decimating sword in Long Fei's hands. All the forces within 1,000,000 kilometers were in operation. Deity. He too would die. The power to destroy gods was a power that was even stronger than gods. 1,000,000 kilometers of all of the power was superior to a one-star divine-level powerhouse. This was the power Long Fei grasped to kill gods. No. No, no. Long Fei, I beg of you, don't kill me, don't kill me. Kill my Zhong clan and I will not let you off. Don't kill me. The crotch of the war letter was wet. He was scared to the point of peeing. Facing death, he was incomparably afraid. This feeling was something he had never felt before. Long Fei looked down from above and said, "I won't kill you. Beg me, kneel down and beg me." The battle letter seemed to have no hesitation as it instantly kneeled on the ground and said, "Long Fei, I beg you, don't kill me." Long Fei continued, "Kowtow, kneel down and kowtow and beg me." Bang, bang, bang. The letter knocked on his head with a loud bang and said, "Don't kill me. I will kowtow to you. I will kowtow to you." Long Fei yelled, "Tell me, what kind of power does Zhong Wushuang want to obtain from Leah?" The war letter hesitated for half a second. Long Fei roared out, "Speak or not." The battle letter immediately said, "Container, the power that the Shenyuan nationality women have inherited can resist the heavenly tribulation. Once a relationship is formed, Shenyuan Li will bear the heavenly tribulation in Zhong Wushuang's place, and the peerless divine spark will be condensed so that it will not be affected at all." F***CK. Long Fei could not help but let out a string of vulgarities as he roared, "How treacherous! All of your Zhong clan members will die." Incomparable rage. Shenyuan Li was actually treated as a container, and she wanted to bear the heavenly tribulation in Zhong Wushuang's place. This. Long Fei was furious. The heaven-breaking sword qi that exploded from his body became even more intense. The battle letter's eyes trembled, and said, "You said you'd let me go, Long Fei. You can't go back on your words, you can't do this." Long Fei laughed coldly, "This old man is messing with you. From the moment you stepped into the Shenyuan prefecture, you were destined to die. Do you think I'll let you go?" Long Fei thought, "You want me to release a superboss just because you want me to? Just consider it as me agreeing. Even my level 10 berserk did not agree." In that instant, Long Fei slashed down with a heavy sound, "Explode for me." Under the bombardment of the force within 1,000,000 kilometers, the sky shook and the earth shook, and the mountains shook. It was like the end of the world. The moment the sword's blade fell, the bloody gash on the top of the battle letter instantly disappeared. The system sounded out. Ding. Chapter 1600 Level 10 Berserk, Heaven's Eyes. Chapter 1600 Level 10 Berserk, Heaven's Eyes. With a loud whoosh, a large tube of blood fell to the ground, and a damage figure that even Long Fei could not count floated up above his head. "Violent kill," the system chimed in. In that moment, Long Fei became excited, and the idea moved, "Release level 10 Berserk." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing battle letter for obtaining 8 billion experience, 1000000 holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the 9 underworld blood vein. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the battle god sword. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the holy bone sword of the Yellow Springs. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the purple gold divine robe. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1-star godhood. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the heavenly bone shrek. Do you wish to fuse it? One after another, notifications buzzed in his ears. However, these things were only the basics of the super boss battle letter. These things were all at the holy artifact level. Long Fei did not have the time to check their stats. He was extremely excited in his heart. Because the main attraction was the level 10 Berserk trigger. Long Fei's heart tightened. Come, let me see the Berserk power of you level 10. Ding. System notification. Player Long Fei has triggered level 10 Berserk. Please choose series. Domain Treasure Series, Heavenly Treasure Series, Prehistoric Series, Cartoon Series, Mecha Series, Wyman Series, Universe Unknown Series. System notification. Player Long Fei has triggered level 10 Berserk. Please select series. A familiar feeling. Series after series appeared in Long Fei's mind. What should I choose? Long Fei was troubled again. He only had one chance. If he couldn't make a good choice, then he was screwed. Huff. Long Fei took a deep breath. The idea moved and said, choose the Heavenly Court series. Immediately after, the system's interface closed and the system's notification sound rang out. Long Fei's eyes slightly closed, his heart tensed up. This was the level 10 Berserk which he had spent more than a year's worth of effort to earn. It must drop something good. He absolutely could not be really nervous. Just like his wife who was about to enter the delivery room to give birth, Long Fei was waiting anxiously outside the door. This was the feeling he had right now. Bring it on. Long Fei's gaze shook, and he shouted out softly. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Heaven's Eye. The system announcement sounded out. Long Fei was startled. Heaven's Eyes. In his mind, there was an eye that was the same as an ordinary person's. There was no difference, not even the slightest fluctuation of energy. At this moment. Ding. System prompt. Do you wish to absorb the Sky Eye? Long Fei was a little confused as he muttered. Damn, it's such a scam, no? I'm terribly disappointed. He thought it was a main artifact or something. But what was this called? An eye. What could he do? See who's a monster. 1,000 Li Eye. Could he see thousands of miles away? For a moment, Long Fei was very dejected. He had worked so hard for so long and now an eye burst out from the level 10 Berserk. Even if it was Erlang Shen's eyes, he was 2F** king blind. It completely did not meet Long Fei's expectations. Level 10 Berserk. Several hundreds of thousands of striking energy value were wiped out just like that. Long Fei's heart ached. System, damn you. Long Fei grumbled. He was not in a hurry to fuse with the Heaven's Eyes, and instead took a look at its properties. Item, Heaven's Eye attribute. Strength. Description. They were all question marks without any indication. This time, Long Fei wanted to die. He muttered, I don't believe in love anymore, it's too much of a bully. His heart was bleeding. However, his choice, even if it was *T, would have to be eaten up. Long Fei moved and said, let's fuse them. His heart was filled with desolation. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for merging with Heaven's Eye. In that instant, a power appeared between Long Fei's brows. He laughed coldly at himself and thought to himself, is it really Erlang Shen's eyes? Your sister, why would I need that eye? Erlang Shen had even summoned his scatter seeds which become solid as before, so Long Fei was more interested in its eyes. He would rather fuse with Monkey Sun's fiery golden eyes. However, the heavens would not give him a second choice, otherwise he would definitely not choose the Heavenly Court series. Huff. Long Fei heaved a sigh of relief. Just as he wanted to exit the system, he felt a surge of energy in his head that was ready to move at any moment, as if it was going to break out of his body. This feeling was very special. The idea moved. Long Fei took a look at the attribute of the Heaven's Eye after merging with it. He didn't know whether to look or not. Long Fei was so scared that he almost peed his pants. Holy *T, so you want to explode? Long Fei was dumbstruck, his heart was beating even faster, he was truly confused. War device, Heaven's Eye rank, deputy main artifact strength, super skills, Sky Eye purple light shot, treasure seeking, heal. Description. The Heaven's Eyes are formed from a piece of debris from the heavens. It possesses immense power, powerful attacks, super supplementary powers, and super healing powers. TL Description 2. Description 3. Other than Description 1, there was only one other description. This meant that there were still attributes that had yet to be developed for the Sky Eye. Long Fei did not pay any attention to the others. Looking at purple light shot, he thought to himself, what kind of power is this super attack? Can you demonstrate it? Ding. The system interface opened. At this time, the image in Long Fei's mind stirred. He opened his heaven's eyes, and a purple light shot out. A few thousand meters away, a thick purple light firmly locked onto an object. The object exploded. At the same time, with a sweep of purple light, an immeasurably deep gully appeared on the ground. This damage was reminded of the main city's cannon tower in the LOL game. A ray of fiery light shot onto your body, and the tube of blood instantly ran dry. That rhythm. Explosions. It was a stroke of luck. An extremely powerful attack. Powerful to the point where you couldn't even imagine it. Moreover, to a certain extent, the purple light power released by the Heaven's Eyes definitely surpassed the divine-level powerhouse S of the Chaos Realm S. However, Long Fei had not tested it yet, so there was no guarantee as to how strong he was. At this moment, several clan elders of the Shenyuan nationality surrounded Long Fei's head. The scene just now was something they would never forget. Sky Shatter Sword S, Sword Chi that broke the sky, Sword Force that went against the heavens. They had never seen such a powerful force in their lives. It was this kind of power that they had neglected for millions of years. To be exact, it should be because they had wasted millions of years of time. Many of their clansmen wanted to comprehend the true meaning of the Sky Shatter Sword, but no one succeeded. Over time, even their Shenyuan tribesman thought that the Sky Shatter Sword was only a lie, an enormous lie. Doubt its existence. However, now that he appeared before them, they were stupefied. Long Fei raised his eyes, looked at the 8 Grand Elders and smiled. Is someone coming to die? Chapter 1601, If You Dare, Try It. Chapter 1601, If You Dare, Try It. The Shenyuan nationality was the most ancient clan of the Chaos Realm. He had existed for even longer than the 9 secret warrior family. Long Fei looked up at the 8 great elders in the sky and asked, "What do you want to do?" The 8 of them looked at each other. And then, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One figure after another descended and surrounded Long Fei. Everyone's face was extremely serious. Long Fei's lips curled into a faint smile, and thought to himself, looks like I really have to test the power of my Heaven's Eyes. You are all leveling up powerhouse of the blend for Godhead, so using you all to test its power should be pretty good. Su Yun said with a smile. Long Fei connected to the Heaven Eyes. As long as he gave the command, the Sky Eye would be activated. At that time. However, what Long Fei did not expect was that the 8 of them suddenly knelt down on one knee. One by one, they kneeled on the ground. Long Fei was a little confused. He was not afraid of the 8 people attacking him, but what the hell was going on? What are you all doing? Long Fei asked in confusion. One of the elders said, Long Fei, you are the first person to comprehend a Sky Shatter Sword in the past few million years. Although you are not someone from the Shenyuan nationality, but, according to the rules of the Shenyuan nationality, you are the direct disciple of our master, and also our elder. That's right. You are now the supreme existence in the Shenyuan nationality. In addition, you have the qualifications to receive our kowtow. All of them were incomparably excited. Not to mention kneeling, they were even willing to kowtow. The Sky Shatter Sword was of great significance to the Shenyuan nationality. Its existence was something that Long Fei could not even imagine, and they also respected it from the bottom of their hearts. Because Long Fei had comprehended a Sky Shatter Sword. This was because he was the first person in millions of years. Once, there were countless powerhouse of the Way of the Sword that came to the Primal Chaos continent to study Sky Shatter Sword, but not a single one of them succeeded. Shenyuan nationality had once selected countless outstanding disciples, but none of them succeeded, and wasted a lot of time. Now that the Sky Shatter Sword had reappeared in the human world, they were all excited. Long Fei muttered in his heart, "I was even thinking of testing the power of the purple light from the heaven's eyes. Isn't this too boring?" And then Long Fei said, "All of you, get up. There is no need to do this. No. You should accept our kneeling. I am deeply ashamed of what I said and did a few days ago. If I had attacked you back then, I would never have been able to see the power of a Sky Shatter Sword. I would have regretted it for the rest of my life." The Grand Elder blamed himself. Long Fei laughed in his heart, "If you were to attack me, it is true that you will not be able to see the power of the Sky Shatter Sword, because you are already dead." He said, "It's fine. All Ninth, you're really something. You almost destroyed the hopes of our Shenyuan nationality." "Exactly. All Ninth, you almost became a sinner of the Shenyuan nationality. All Nine, you can have some snacks, right?" They all began to laugh and criticize him. Ninth brother couldn't even lift his head up. He muttered, "This is not even the Elders' Pavilion's decision. It's not worth it if I say it. It's all Shenyuan Lai's fault. He misled us." Actually, it wasn't their fault. It was normal for them to give up individuals for the sake of their family. After all, currently, the Zhon clan was simply too powerful, so powerful that even they were afraid of them. They did not want to offend Zhon clan because of Long Fei, and did not want to destroy Shenyuan nationality because of Long Fei. However, it was different for Long Fei now that he had comprehended Sky Shatter Sword. The might of Sky Shatter Sword could behead the gods. The battle letter was a super powerhouse which had been created using his divine spark. Even when he was under the Sky Shatter Sword, he wet himself in fear and trembled as he fought, so the other powerhouse were not worth mentioning. Why should I be afraid now? The group of 9 returned to Shenyuan Prefecture. At this time, the 8 King Kongs had already been controlled by the Shenyuan nationality disciples and were being captured one by the 2 disciples. The current 8 King Kong pubes had been crippled. He had lost all his cultivation, and coupled with his heavy voice, he couldn't even be compared to an ordinary person. Other than 8 King Kong, Nangong Yang, as well as the dying Shenyuan Xiong were all controlled. They did not know what was happening outside the mountain. However, they knew that they could not afford to offend the Zhon clan. They could not afford to offend them. Furthermore, Long Fei had killed so many Shenyuan nationality elders, the 8 great elders of the Elder Pavilion would definitely not spare Long Fei when they rush out. Out of the 4 remaining Zhon's elders, there was only 1 remaining. At this moment, Long Fei's ice-cold voice transmitted into the courtyard and coldly said, "Who wants to die?" The entire audience was stunned. They all looked at Long Fei. The Zhon's elder's body trembled slightly as he shouted in a low voice, "Long Fei, you dog, you dare to touch my Zhon clan." Not waiting for him to finish, "Pa!" A slap landed on his face. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. His face was red and swollen, his body sprawled on the ground from the slap. Divine. So weak. Even Long Fei himself was surprised. "My strength seems to have become a lot stronger than before." In the past, he would only be able to crush powerhouses that were semigod level, but now, divine level powerhouses could do the same and easily. This caused Long Fei to be secretly shocked. Could it be because of the fusion of the heaven eyes? "You dare hit me?" Zhon's elder got up from the ground as a divine light flickered on his body. "So what if I hit you? Stand firm." The moment Zhon's elder steadied himself, Long Fei pulled up his hair and slapped him hard across the face. He had to move fast and move smoothly. "Pa." Zhon's elder was prepared, but his speed was not enough at all. He wanted to defend, but his defense was instantly destroyed, making him feel as if Long Fei was a divine-ranked powerhouse after his tribulation. He was once again slapped to the ground. His face was swollen like a pig's head. A few of the clan elders of the Shenyuan nationality shouted, "Long Fei, are you tired of living? If you touch him again, I'll kill them immediately." A few disciples shouted, and pressed down 8 King Kong's body. The 8 people's faces darkened, revealing painful expressions, but they did not make any sounds. However, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. Try touching one of them. While they were talking, Long Fei stepped right on John's elder's face. Another heavy kick landed on the tower. Bang! Try moving one of them. Bam! Every time Long Fei stomped his feet, a faint aura of divine light would emit from them, and the Zhon's elder beneath his feet would become like a dead dog. The Shenyuan nationality elder's face turned sinister. Long Fei, do you think we're afraid of you? Kill all his brothers. When the word kill fell, Long Fei instantly changed his expression. He immediately grabbed onto the speaker's neck with one hand and moved his 2 fingers. Catcher. He crushed his throat. A sinister voice sounded out, if you have the guts, then move out and give it a try. Let's see who King wants to live longer. Chapter 1602 Recovery, 0%. Chapter 1602 Recovery, 0%. His voice was icy cold as it crushed everyone present. No one dared to move. The aura being emitted from Long Fei's body was simply too terrifying, and felt that it was even more terrifying than the divine aura of War Letter. It made them unable to breathe. At this time, the 8 elders walked into the courtyard. Upon seeing what was happening, they immediately cried out, "Release him immediately and call for the best physician." Everyone was taken aback. An elder said, "Grand Elder, Long Fei and the others killed John's elder, and they also killed our Shenyuan nationality's elders, we cannot let him go." Seeing the 8 great elders walk into the courtyard, they immediately became more imposing. "Long Fei, prepare to die. You still dare to be arrogant. With the 8 great elders here, let's see how long you can continue being so arrogant." Now that the 8 great elders had appeared, they naturally had to vent all their resentment. However, these elders who were speaking were swept a glance by 9th brother and then coldly said, "From now on, you are no longer the elders of the Shenyuan nationality." Everyone was dumbfounded. "Grand Elder, why? Did we do something wrong?" All 9 indifferently said, "You didn't do anything wrong, but your words made young Master Long Fei very unhappy. This is where you're at, if you ask again. Evicted from the Shenyuan prefecture, never to enter again." Those Shenyuan nationality elders were stunned. What was going on? He couldn't react for a long time. Zhon's elder, who was crawling on the ground, stared at all 9, and shouted, "You 8 old things must have gone crazy, right? I will now order you all to capture Long Fei." Not waiting for him to finish, all 9's figure moved, his palm struck Zhon's elder's chest, and he shouted out, "I have tolerated your Zhon family for a long time." Bam! A palm flew out. The Zhon's elder exploded outwards, falling a few hundred meters away, dying. Long Fei said slightly, "Don't kill him, I'm still useful." All 9 immediately nodded, "As you command." It was as if he was Long Fei's servant, and it wasn't just his other 7 grand elders who were also the same. "Hurry up and let them go." All 9 let out a heavy shout. Those disciples who had caught hold of 8 King Kong immediately let go. And because they had let go, none of the 8 King Kongs were able to stand steadily. Bang, bang, bang. One by one, they fell to the ground. Li Yuanbar spat out a mouthful of black blood, his face extremely pale, the pain in his abdomen continuing without end. He could clearly feel his strength disappearing from his body. Right now, he was like an old man in his prime who could die at any moment. "Yuan Ba." Long Fei stepped forward. Li Yuanbar grinned foolishly, and said, "Boss, I'm fine." Long Fei held Li Yuanbar up as he looked at his abdomen, his heart sinking. At the beginning, he only knew that 8 King Kong was injured, but he didn't expect. It was actually the pubes that had been crippled. Cluck, cluck. Long Fei clenched his teeth, the flames of anger on his body started to burn crazily, the killing intent was strong, the entire courtyard was covered in the scent of death. F***CK. Long Fei's killing intent churned in his heart, wishing that he could pull the battle letter out of hell and kill him another 100,000 times. Li Yuanbar laughed foolishly. It didn't matter how big the matter was as long as Long Fei was fine. After Long Fei had saved him, Long Fei had given him an exciting life. His life could go and die for Long Fei at any time. The rest of the King Kong was the same. They did not regret following Long Fei at all, Even though the pubes were now crippled by him, they had never regretted it. Long Fei looked at the other 7 King Kongs, each and every one of them having their pubes crippled, and his heart was bleeding. My ancestor. And then Long Fei immediately said, help me bring them into the room. All Ninth did not dare to ask, because the aura on Long Fei's body was like explosives, burning at the slightest bit. The 8 Grand Elders personally pulled 8 King Kong into the room. At the same time, Long Fei closed the door to his room, warned once, and said, without my command, no one is to take even half a step into this room. Ninth immediately said, young master, don't worry. Long Fei looked at the 8 of them and understood the pain of having their pubes crippled. To a warrior, a pubes was everything, and losing a pubes was equivalent to losing everything. Not being able to train was equivalent to being sentenced to death. Long Fei could not let his brother be destroyed like this. He wanted to save them. Huff. Long Fei let out a light breath, and said, I have never tried it either. This is the first time, and I don't know if it's painful or not. Aoya said, we are already useless. No matter how much pain we suffer, we have yet to become useless. Boss, don't worry. Boss, don't worry. Bring it on. We're ready. 8 King Kong was never afraid. Pubes was a very special existence. Once it was broken, even if there was a miracle medicine to repair it, it was useless. Even if it was repaired, it was useless. He could no longer think about how his strength would be greatly reduced. He would never be able to reach the peak. However, they did not want to disappoint Long Fei. No matter what Long Fei did, they would still give their all to cooperate with him, even if they knew in their hearts that they would not be saved anymore. Long Fei said, okay, close your eyes, I will use the idea to communicate with you all. Huff. Get rid of distracting thoughts. One with my mind. 8 King Kong did as he was told, and his heart slowly calmed down. Long Fei moved, Sky Eye, open, Heaven's Eye. With the power of healing, Long Fei didn't know how strong the power was, but at the moment, this was the only way Long Fei could think of to save the 8 King Kong. His pubes was broken, but he was not afraid, because he had the system. The destruction of 8 King Kong's pubes meant that they could only become cripples. Long Fei absolutely could not allow that. Buzz. A faint buzzing of energy could be heard as a pair of eyes on Long Fei's forehead slowly opened. Long Fei controlled her and said, come, let me see your recovery power. The Heaven's Eye flashed with a red light. Just like scanning red light, his gaze swept across Li Yuanbar's body and saw that the pubes on his abdomen had been corroded. Buzz buzz. Ding. System notification. Damage level S, repair rate 0%. And then, he scanned Lin Yusheng. Ding. System notification. Damage level S, repair rate 0%. Ding. System notification. Damage S, repair probability 0%. The 8 King Kong was all the same. The probability of pubes healing was 0. In other words, their pubes are simply unable to be repaired. Long Fei panicked, and said in his heart, impossible, impossible, there must be a way, there must be a way. Chapter 1603, Steel Armor Pubes. Chapter 1603, Steel Armor Pubes. He really was panicking. 8 King Kong followed him from the God's Martial Continent to the Chaos Realm. They had only died once in the God's Martial Continent, and at that time, Long Fei's heart was in great pain. He swore to himself that he would not let them die again. But now, the pubes was crippled, and the chance of recovery was 0. To the 8 King Kong, what was the difference from death? Long Fei's pubes was broken, he was very clear of that kind of pain. No way. I must save them, I must save them. In Long Fei's memories, those people had mocked him, saying that he was the broken trash of the pubes, and that it was useless to laugh at him. He would never let these things happen to the 8 King Kong. What can we do? There must be a way. System, you must have a way, right? You must have a way. Please, let me save them, begged. The 8 King Kong was his brother, he didn't want anything to happen to them. Neither the God's Martial Continent nor the plane of the Chaos Realm had a single type of power that could completely restore pubes. The pubes shattered. Unrecoverable existence. After being repaired, he was basically just a piece of trash. The system did not respond. It was only an AI program. How could it respond to Long Fei? Long Fei cried blood in his heart. Just at this moment, the Sleeping Beauty came out from within Long Fei's space ring and stood beside him. She could feel the pain in Long Fei's heart and she couldn't help but shed tears to comfort him. She didn't know how to comfort Long Fei. Because even she did not know how to repair the broken pubes. To a certain extent, pubes could not be repaired. Be it in this plane or the one controlled by the universal world, they were both the same, irreparable. The Titan King also fell silent. He could not find a way to repair it either. The colorful fairy dragon sighed. Gods war beasts, bloody bull of underworld, beast king question of God were all the same. They could all feel the pain in Long Fei's heart, but they had no choice. He couldn't save her. Long Fei clenched his fists, they were tightly clenched, his nails digging into the flesh of his palms, causing dark red blood to drip out, and his teeth were about to break into pieces. But he didn't dare make a sound. Looking at 8 King Kong, his mind was filled with their laughter, their hard work, their unbridled arrogance, and their fearlessness. Long Fei roared in his heart, Why? Long Fei, what use do you have? You can't even protect your own brother, and you can't even protect your own woman. What's the use of you? What's your use? Long Fei deeply blamed himself as his heart bled. A smile hung on her face as she said, Long Fei, we really don't care about whether the pubes can be repaired. Being able to follow you is the happiest thing in our lives, and is also the happiest thing in my life. Thank you. Li Yuanbar followed. Boss, you gave me a name, gave me a new life, allowing me to live like a human, thank you. The sky spirit giggled and said, Boss, you brought me out from the underworld. You made me take revenge, and you let me see the brilliance of this world. Thank you. Ahat said, Boss, there's nothing more to say. Thank you for everything you've done for us. Thank you. As the 8 King Kong spoke one by one, Long Fei's heart felt even more uncomfortable. He kept searching. He kept thinking of ways to save them, but it was really hard, and he really couldn't find any way to repair their pubes. Long Fei bit his tongue and tried to control himself. He wouldn't let himself make any sound. There must be a way. There must be a way. Long Fei opened up the system again and again. He had even thought of inserting the power of the system into the 8 King Kong's body to make them into the same system players as him. That way, they wouldn't have to worry about the pubes breaking down. He could not find such power. Merchant shop system. Merchant shop. Long Fei opened up the system's merchant shop and looked through the items one by one. Boss. It's good that we don't have pubes. Nothing will happen to us. Anyway, we've had a good time. Exactly. 8 King Kong's fame is also well known in Chaos Realm, ha ha ha. The 8 people laughed as they spoke. They didn't want to make it difficult for Long Fei and didn't want to make it difficult for him, so they pretended to be indifferent. But Long Fei knew clearly in his heart that they were pretending. Ah! Is there no other way? Long Fei roared angrily in his heart. He didn't know why. A special item suddenly appeared on the final page of the merchant shop. Steel armor pubes. This was because when Long Fei saw it, it was still a piece, but in just a few seconds it had become 8 pieces. It was just enough for 8 people. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Could the system have heard Long Fei's begging? Could it be that the system was pitying Long Fei, pitiful 8 King Kong? Or could it be that the system was monitoring Long Fei? Long Fei's heart skipped a beat. He currently couldn't care so much. Seeing the attribute of steel armor pubes, his blood also instantly boiled. Yi Zichen stopped thinking. Long Fei moved his body and sent a sound transmission to them. I found a way. Not to help you guys repair the pubes, but to implant a brand new pubes for you guys. This pubes might be different from your previous pubes, but it will be stronger than any pubes in the world, and Long Fei looked at the attributes of the steel armor pubes. God, Water King Kongs, Steel Armor Pubes Water, the Holy King Kongs, Steel Armor Pubes Power, Yuling Guardian Warrior, Spirit of the Steel Armor Pubes, Sword Force King Kongs, Steel Armor Pubes Sword, arrogant knife King Kongs, steel armor pubes blade, anti-magic Varjas, evil steel armor pubes. Steel armor pubes defense, Arhat King Kongs, steel armor pubes dragon, 8 pieces of steel armor Varja, with 8 special attributes. They were all specially prepared for the 8 King Kong, for their unique powers. Very special. Coincidence. Long Fei himself was a little stupefied seeing this, but he didn't want to care about that now. Whether it was a coincidence or the system's deliberate arrangement, the only thing on his mind right now was to save his brother. I'm ready. When Long Fei got excited about how these steel armor pubes were implanted into their bodies, their cultivation would definitely soar crazily. Just thinking about it made him excited. The 8 people were stunned. At the same time, he nodded and said, "Boss, come at me." Immediately, Long Fei said that he had exchanged everything he could for the steel armor pubes. Ding. Deducting 800 million points. Ding. Deducting 800 million points. Chapter 1604, Dividing the Soldiers into 2. Chapter 1604, Dividing the Soldiers into 2 announcements sounded one after another. Almost all of Long Fei's holy artifact and treasures had been taken out. But he didn't care. As long as he could save the 8 King Kong, he could even exchange these main artifact. A few minutes later, the system sounded out. Ding. The steel armor pubes power has been successfully implanted. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Yuanbar fiercely glared at him, as though he was glaring at King Kong. All the energy in his body immediately burned up like flames. In the past, it was just the strength stripes, but now, the strength in his body was completely different, as if there was a chemical reaction. Boom, boom, boom. A series of explosive sounds rang. Li Yuanbar clenched both his fists tightly, his divine power surging. His entire person was incomparably excited as he said, his back, his strength is back. That's not right. It's stronger than before. Boss, inside my body, my pubes. Li Yuanbar laughed very happily. Feeling the heat from deep within the pubes, feeling the power that was 100% compatible with his own body, his strength instantly rose dramatically. However, this was just the beginning. Next. Boom. Ding. The steel armor pubes sword was implanted. Oya's eyes quivered as if she had just awakened. The sword chime raged and roared. Ding. The steel armor pubes has been successfully implanted. Ha ha ha. The body of the fat man Chen Ball rolled and suddenly bounced up, laughing crazily in excitement. My strength is back. Excited laughter sounded. One by one, the steel armor pubes were planted in, and looking at their smiles, Long Fei was indescribably happy in his heart. In just half an hour, all 8 attribute steel armor pubes had been successfully implanted, and the 8 King Kong had recovered to its normal state, becoming even more powerful than before. Boss, what's this? The Holy Spirit could not help but ask. I feel that the pubes in front of me is completely different from the one in front of me right now, as if it possesses endless power. Furthermore, the power inside is 100% compatible with the power that I am cultivating in, without any impurities. Shock. They were shocked beyond words. The power they trained in was indeed very special. The attributes are different. However, in the past, there would always be impurities of different attributes in their powers. But now, there was not the slightest bit of impurities. It was completely compatible with their diamond force. A perfect fit. Yeah, boss, what exactly is our pubes? What a strange power. I feel like I'm twice as strong as before, and there are still a lot of undeveloped parts to the pubes. If I really create all of them, how strong would that be? The 8 of them were all very curious. These 8 steel armor pubes had the same attributes as them. How could there be such a coincidence in the world? Long Fei did not explain in detail, and he had no way of explaining it clearly to them. Furthermore, he did not plan to tell anyone about the system, and said with a smile, "This is a special kind of pubes. It is formed completely according to the power you guys cultivate. Don't worry, it will not make you stronger." Steel armor pubes. Liquid metal. From now on, their pubes would never be damaged. The 8 King Kong did not ask any more questions as they all became excited. "Thank you, boss. Thank you, boss," the 8 of them said in unison. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Go out." At this moment, the 8 Grand Elders of the Elder Pavilion personally guarded the door. They immediately walked forward when they saw the door being pushed open. Then, they saw 8 King Kong walking out one after the other, completely unharmed. Furthermore, the auras on their bodies were even more tyrannical and powerful than before the pubes was destroyed. The 8 of them were shocked. They all looked at Long Fei. Nangong Yang and Shenyuan Xiong, who was slightly better, walked forward. "Are you all right?" Long Fei smiled faintly. "I'm fine. The young lord is indeed the young lord. Incredible. To think that there would be such an amazing hand that could even repair the broken pubes. He really is someone who can inherit the master's sky-breaking sword technique." All 8 Grand Elders were shocked. Long Fei smiled faintly, and said, "Senior is praising me, it's just a coincidence." After dinner, Shenyuan Nationality's secret meeting room. 8 Grand Elders, Long Fei, Shenyuan Xiong. Annihilating 9 secret warrior family is extremely difficult. Have you really thought about it? Shenyuan Xiong looked at Long Fei and asked seriously. Long Fei nodded his head and said, "I came here this time to look for the Zhon clan's position. I must knock him down. If there is any danger to Zhon clan, Zhon Wushuang will definitely come out. At that time, if I kill him again, I can also call Leah." Ninth brother said, "Your plan is not bad, but young Master Long Fei, have you thought about the power of Zhon clan? As far as I know, the battle letter is only the weakest of the 9 great master. There are too many souls of divine-level powerhouse hidden within the 9 secret borders, and there's even a dragon tomb rumored to be. Not waiting for him to finish." Long Fei's brows moved. "You said dragon tomb just now?" Stunned, ninth brother replied, "That's right. The reason why the 9 Master S of the Zhon clan were able to condense divine sparks was all because of the power of the dragon tomb. Otherwise, how could they have made a breakthrough? Dragon tomb? Dragon soul? The last ingredient that the colorful fairy dragon needs. If we can find the dragon soul, then the colorful fairy dragon can completely recover its strength." The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he laughed excitedly. At this moment, 9 continued, "Even if the Zhon clan is defeated, if the Zhon clan members hide in the 9 secret borders, there is nothing we can do. As long as Zhon Wushuang breaks through and condenses his divine spark, with his innate talent, I'm afraid you." This was indeed a problem. Once Zhon Wushuang managed to condense his divine spark, he would be stronger than any ancestors of Zhon's. Because he was someone selected by the ancestors of Zhon's, and from the moment he was born, he had already merged with the main artifact. An existence that no one could stop. Long Fei had initially planned to surround Wei and save Zhao, but hearing his words, it was possible that even Zhon clan would not be able to, so even if they surrounded Zhon Wushuang, they might not appear. What should I do? Long Fei fell into deep thought for a moment. Zhon clan must go. The Tower Question of God also wanted to go. Which way should we go? She was still safe before Shenyuan Leah broke through the 100 levels of the God's Tower, but what kind of breakthrough was it that mattered to her? No one knew. Long Fei was not confident either. Split the troops into 2. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Shenyuan Xiong raised his head, looked at Long Fei, and said, "What do you want to do?" Long Fei said, "I will go to the Zhon clan alone, and all of you will head to the Tower Question of God. Nangong Yang will know the way, and she will bring you all to the Tower Question of God. Don't worry about me, I'll be there in an instant." He had a super teleportation ability that allowed him to teleport instantly after piercing into the Spirit Mountain range. This was the only method that Long Fei could think of at the moment. Chapter 1605, Zhon Wushuang breaking through the God's Tower. Chapter 1605, Zhon Wushuang breaking through the God's Tower the next morning. Outside the Cloud Sky Valley, the 8 Grand Elders, the 8 King Kong, as well as Nangong Yang and the rest of the elite disciples from the Shenyuan nationality stood at the side. Long Fei stood alone at the side. "Boss, you have to be careful by yourself." "Boss, do you want me to follow you?" Chen Tianfei said with worry. Even the 8 King Kong was worried. They all wanted to follow Long Fei. Long Fei said, "The Tower Question of God needs you even more. The Saintess are all very strong, especially the Tower Master of the Tower Question of God. He should be a powerhouse who has condensed his divine spark. If once John Wushuang breaks through, you guys can leave and continue to fight." Shenyuan Xiong looked at Long Fei and asked, "What about you? After all, that's the 9 secret warrior family. 9 secret borders. It's definitely not something an ordinary person can enter." Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, I will be fine." "All right, let's go." Aoya and Nangong Yang looked at Long Fei at the same time, their eyes filled with reluctance. Long Fei was the same. However, had no choice but to hurry up. At any time, Zhon Wushuang could break through the 100 levels of God's Tower and enter the ancient holy battlefield at any time. Furthermore, Shenyuan Li could become his container at any time, and by then, it would be too late. Huff. Long Fei exhaled and carried the dying Zhon's elder up. The idea moved and summoned the tumbling cloud, saying, "Lead the way." Heh. Zhon's elder sneered, "Long Fei, just you wait, when we get to the Zhon clan, you will definitely die." Whoosh. The tumbling cloud moved and instantly flew out. Shenyuan Xiong said softly, "Let's go." Within the Tower Question of God. Buzz, buzz, buzz. A series of sword hums rang out. Zhon Wushuang attacked consecutively with madness. The long sword in his hand was so fast that he could not see it clearly. From every direction, 10,000 illusions seemed to have enveloped the Saint Presbyter completely. The scene was shocking. Shenyuan Li stood at the side with a face full of shock. The strength that Zhon Wushuang displayed was truly powerful, at least she was not a match for him. He couldn't help it. Shenyuan Li clenched his fists. Owner of Tower Question of God had a faint smile on his face. He was extremely satisfied with Zhon Wushuang's strength. In a short span of 2 years, he was pleasantly surprised by Zhon Wushuang's speed of growth. It was certain that Zhon Wushuang would do well to enter the ancient holy battlefield, and he would definitely be rewarded a lot when he gets there. Thinking about that, the smile on the owner of Tower Question of God's face became wider. "He's here." Suddenly, Zhon Wushuang suddenly shouted, retracting his sword intent, causing the shadows in all directions to retract, and quickly superimpose on the body of the real face. Wushuang, one strike. Shua. The sword slay shattered the void. The strong sword intent made the entire Tower Question of God tremble. A single sword strike was unrivaled in this world. This sword was extremely sharp, and at the same time that he released this sword, the power in his body formed a strong resonance, the god's shield illusions themselves forming thick rays of golden light without being summoned. Power resonance. Boom. A sword pierced through the chest of the saint on the 100th floor. Saint was forced to retreat. He was immediately nailed to the wall by a strong sword chi, causing him to spurt out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't stop it. Not a bit. Saint swallowed a few medicinal pellets, forcefully suppressing the blood flow in his body, and said to Zhon Wushuang, "Congratulations, you've passed the 100th floor." As soon as he finished, the Tower Question of God Tower Master entered the 100th floor. At the same time, the vortex above the Tower Question of God started to spin, layer by layer, as a divine light enveloped the area. Buzz. A powerful divine force. This was an incomparable divine light in the Chaos realm. The 100-layer saint's chest had been pierced through by Zhon Wushuang's sword, but at this moment, his wounds quickly healed as good as new. Owner of Tower Question of God became excited and directly kneeled on the ground, then said to Zhon Wushuang, "Ancient holy battlefield secret world is about to open, the overgod is going to conduct a reward." Beneath the swirling vortex, a divine light enveloped the area. Thunder boomed in the sky as the entire Chaos realm shook. Divine light appears. Someone broke through the 100 levels of the Tower Question of God. Someone has broken through the God's Tower. The entrance to the ancient holy battlefield is about to open. My God! How many years has it been? One Chaos realm has finally appeared. Who is it? The entire Chaos realm began to discuss. After all, this was an honor to the Chaos realm. No matter who it was that broke the 100 floors of God's tower, it was still an honor to them. At this moment, Zhon Wushuang looked up at the sky, at the center of the vortex. Suddenly, a beam of red divine light shot straight into his sea of consciousness. Zhon Wushuang's eyes sank, and a voice resounded in his mind. Originally, Zhon Wushuang did not plan to kneel down, but now, he suddenly knelt down with an excited expression, as if he had met his long-awaited family members. There was respect in his eyes. Owner of Tower Question of God was startled. He did not know why Zhon Wushuang would suddenly kneel down, nor did he know what the red light that was injected into his mind was. After a long time, Zhon Wushuang stood up from the ground. At this time, the divine light also disappeared. The entrance to the ancient holy battlefield also disappeared. Zhon Wushuang did not enter. The Tower Master of the Tower Question of God asked in shock, "Why aren't you going in?" Zhon Wushuang did not answer but looked at Shenyuan Li and said, "Leah, I want to hold your hand and enter ancient holy battlefield together." Shenyuan Li said coldly, "I won't enter the ancient holy battlefield. I will leave once I break through the 100th floor. I want to go find Big Brother Long Fei." This time, he did not get angry from embarrassment. Instead, he had a smile on his face, but his smile was a little sinister and terrifying. Owner of Tower Question of God asked again, "Wushuang, what is that red light? What did the god reward you with? And why didn't you enter the ancient holy battlefield?" He did not understand. Zhon Wushuang still did not answer, but sat cross-legged and started cultivating. He was waiting for Shenyuan Li to break through the 100 layer of God's tower. When he received the red light just now, it was an idea, and there was an incomparably powerful inheritance within the idea that entered his body. Just as the ancestors of Zhon's had said, his cultivation level would soar to a whole new level. The key point was his God's shield. It evolved. At this moment, somewhere else, Long Fei saw the divine light slowly disappear, and his heart tightened. "Zhon Wushuang, you broke through the God's tower?" The Zhon's elder sneered and said, "Long Fei, young Master Wushuang has already broken through the God's tower. Are you still his opponent?" "Ha ha." It was also at this time. Zhon's elder looked at the hidden valley not far away and said, "The Zhon clan has arrived." Chapter 1606, Fury. Chapter 1606, Fury 1606. When Zhon Wushuang broke through to the god's tower, the entire plane was boiling. The number one genius of Chaos Realm lived up to his name at this moment. Everyone was excited. This was because, in the past few thousand years, there had finally been someone who managed to break through the god's tower and enter the ancient holy battlefield, upgrading the plane. This way, the spirit energy of heaven and earth would be even denser in Chaos Realm. The most excited one was 9 Secret Warrior family. At Zhon family. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Zhon Tiantu laughed proudly. "Wushuang, good job. You have finally broken through the shackles of the god's tower and we feel honored. Father is proud of you. Patriarch, young Master Wushuang is the number one person in Chaos Realm. Our Zhon family will rise again soon enough. He's only 30 years old. I would like to ask, in the entire Chaos Realm, who would be able to do it? An existence that no one can match. Young Master Wushuang is too powerful." Every battle clan member's blood had been ignited. Zhon Wushuang breaking through the god's tower was of great significance to them. It meant that they had stepped onto a big step. Zhon Tiantu laughed. "Pass down the order, open the pill warehouse, weapon warehouse, library. You can choose any 3 from the battle family's disciples." As soon as he finished, the entire Zhon clan disciple cheered. The whole house was in a sea of joy. Zhon Tiantu quickly stepped into the 9 secret borders. He wanted to inform the Master S that Zhon Wushuang had broken through the god's tower, so that they could rejoice together. Half an hour later, 9 secret borders. The 8 elders were still sitting cross-legged around the dragon tomb, cultivating, their bodies slowly absorbing the energy aura emitted by the dragon tomb. Very thick. The dragon tomb continued to provide an unending stream of resources, just like the sea of energy. It was an inexhaustible supply. Zhong Tiantu had always dreamed of one day being able to cultivate the same kind of power as the master, so he was slightly dazed as he looked at the gigantic dragon tomb. After pausing for a few seconds, Zhong Tiantu kneeled down and said, "Disciple Zhong Tiantu greets master." One of the white-haired old man opened his eyes slightly. He did not look at Zhong Tiantu but thought of another place instead. At this moment, not far away, a tablet had fallen to the ground. Suddenly, the white-haired old man's eyes narrowed and he quickly stood up. With one step, he shouted, "Junior brother, what did it mean to lose the tablet?" Fall. There was a trace of the aura of a war letter inside the tablet. If the real face of the war letter died, the tablet would fall as well. There were also 8 tablets on this shelf. At this time, all the Masters opened their eyes and watched as the battle letters tablet fell. Buzz buzz buzz. Buzz buzz buzz. The entire 9 secret borders was trembling and the war gods were all wailing in grief as they were extremely afraid of the power being emitted from their bodies. Who is it? The leading master instantly appeared in front of Zhong Tiantu and used a wave of energy to lift him up. At this moment, Zhong Tiantu thought that he was going to die, and it felt extremely uncomfortable. He kept shaking his head. I don't know, I really don't know. He didn't know. He really didn't know. Could anyone even defend against the ancestors of Zhong's? The entire Xianyuan nationality was also not Zhong Xin's match, so Zhong Tiantu did not even think about it, and immediately after the battle letter departed, he believed that Long Fei was dead for sure. But now, his heart sank again. As the patriarch of the Zhong clan, what use do you have if you don't even know this little bit of information? The master was furious beyond compare. A powerful force roared out from his body, surging crazily. From all directions, it was like a secret cave as it rushed towards Zhong Tiantu. A dark energy wrapped around him like a black hole. Zhong Tiantu couldn't say a word, he didn't even have the strength to struggle. In front of the master, he was too weak. They were both at the deity level, but the difference in their cultivations was like the difference between heaven and earth. Woo woo woo. Zhong Tiantu was like he was being pushed into water, he moaned in pain, his eyes were bulging and filled with blood veins. At this time, another old man walked over and said lightly, "Boss, he is Wu Shuang's father, I think." The old man's eyes turned sinister as he coldly snorted, "Humph." Zhong Tiantu instantly fell to the ground and panted heavily. Half a second later, he immediately knelt down and kowtowed, "Disciple is useless, disciple is useless. Please forgive me, master. Disciple is useless." He no longer wanted to endure that feeling anymore. "Humph. Incompetent. You are just a piece of trash. If it wasn't because of Wu Shuang, would you be qualified to be the clan master? What qualifications do you have to manage Zhong clan? If you can't even deal with Long Fei whose pubes is broken, how can you be useless? Mph, he's just a useless piece of trash." The old man snapped at him mercilessly. Who was the war letter? He was their junior brother, and even more so, his own younger brother. Now he was dead. Furthermore, he did not even know who had killed him. How could he not be angry? Zhong Tiantu kowtowed continuously, and said, Master is right, I am trash, I am trash." He was extremely afraid. He didn't dare to retort at all. However, Zhong Tiantu hated Long Fei the most in his heart, because it was Long Fei who made him suffer such an insult and almost died here. An old man said coldly, "Since you don't know about Zhong Xin's death, what are you doing here?" Zhong Tiantu immediately said, "I want all the master to report that Wu Shuang broke through the god's tower." As soon as he finished, the 8 of them trembled simultaneously. An old man said, "What did you say just now? Say it again." Zhong Tiantu became excited again, and said, "Wu Shuang broke through the god's tower. Didn't the entrance of the ancient holy battlefield open just now? It's really just like what all the master said, a red divine power descended from the sky, but I don't know if Wu Shuang has entered the battlefield yet." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Without waiting for Zhong Tiantu to finish speaking, the 8 elders all started to laugh. As expected of the person chosen by the master. Not bad, not bad. Chaos Realm's #1 genius, ha ha ha. The 8 of them were incomparably excited. Because Zhong Wushuang did not disappoint them, and had even surprised them. This was because he was faster than their expectations, and it could be seen that Zhong Wushuang's potential was incomparably huge. The divine red light, it should be. An old man looked at the old man in the lead. The leader of the master smiled lightly and said, "That's right, that is the power of our Zhong clan's ancestor. It is the power to transform and evolve the god's shield that can fuse with Wushuang's life force. The true power of main artifact." Chapter 1607, Beginning Killing Mode. Chapter 1607, Beginning Killing Mode. Only a god could truly unleash the power of a main artifact. By condensing a divine spark, one could acquire divine power. Only by pouring divine power into the main artifact would they be able to completely unleash the power of the main artifact, and the power that erupted from the Chaos Realm would be just a tiny bit. At the tip of the iceberg. Right now, he only needs to wait for the little girl from the Shenyuan nationality to break through the god's tower. Then, he can borrow container to condense his divine spark, and at that time, his main artifact will become even more powerful. Even in the ancient holy battlefield, he would be able to stand tall, and it won't take long for him to become an overlord that the main temple places a lot of importance on. The Zhong clan is about to return to the divinity. It's time for the Zhong clan to rise again. Ha ha ha. No one can stop us now. After being in the Chaos Realm for so many years, the chance to return to the divinity finally arrived after lying in wait for us. The divinity is the true stage of our Zhong family. As long as Wushuang is able to obtain a super high combat achievement in ancient holy battlefield, our Zhong clan will definitely rise up, ha ha ha. The key to all of this was Zhong Wushuang. Who could stop Zhong Wushuang, who brought a main artifact into the ancient holy battlefield? He was destined to dominate the entire ancient holy battlefield. Zhong Tiantu heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. Because his son had saved his life, because his son would still be the clan master in the future. As long as his son didn't die, no one would be able to shake his position. At that time, returning to the divinity, even these master had to respect him a little. Then, an old man withdrew his expression and said, "Wushuang should still be in the tower question of God, he is waiting for that girl from Shenyuan nationality to break through. This is the right choice. The chances of success in condensing a divine spark are simply too low. The risk is too great. I have to borrow the power of the Shenyuan nationality." That's right. Think about it, if we did not cultivate the power of the dragon tomb, we would not have been able to withstand the baptism of the heavenly tribulation. That little girl's power is stronger than the power in the dragon tomb, and she can even help the peerless god spark. The 8 of them were discussing Zhong Wushuang. Zhong Wushuang's breakthrough allowed them to see a glimmer of hope, the light of dawn on the rise of the Zhong clan. In order to avoid the enemy, in order to rise to prominence and lurk in the Chaos Realm for so many years, every single generation of the battle family had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of returning to the divinity. In this generation, they finally saw hope because of Zhong Wushuang's appearance. Zhong Tiantu asked, "Master, what do you want the Zhong clan to prepare now?" The leader of the master also saw that Zhong Tiantu's complexion had slightly improved. After all, Zhong Wushuang was his son. As long as he condenses his divine spark, he will immediately enter the ancient holy battlefield. At that time, he laughed excitedly. And then, another old man said, "Speaking of preparation, the only thing we need to do now is to protect Wushuang, the little girl who is protecting Shenyuan nationality. Nothing must go wrong." Shenyuan Li was also the key. The key to transcending the tribulation. She had to be sure that she was obedient. Zhong Tiantu immediately said, "The Tower Question of God is also under our control, and the owner of Tower Question of God will protect Wushuang. He also does not want to miss out on 2 geniuses who can enter the ancient holy battlefield, as it will not benefit him in any way. Owner of Tower Question of God is also considered to be the peak powerhouse. I think Wushuang and the rest can protect him." Owner of Tower Question of God was also a powerhouse who had condensed a divine spark like them. Moreover, after being in control of the Tower Question of God for such a long time, the divine power he cultivated was very profound. Even if he was no match for it, he still had a super spirit treasure tower question of God. They did not have to worry about the tower question of goddess. Even if they had more people, it would be useless, they would just be throwing their lives away. Right. The leading master suddenly asked, how did the war letter die? Now can you tell me? Jean Tiantu trembled slightly, thinking back to the feeling of being pressed into the darkness just now. His body couldn't help but tremble as he said, I really don't know. As far as I know, no one in the Shenyuan nationality is a match for him. The only possibility is. Jean Tiantu looked at Master and said, I am Long Fei. It's him. Impossible. Long Fei is just a semi-realistic realm. No matter how strong the energy he cultivates is special, it will be restricted by the laws of the plane. In Chaos Realm, no one can stand above the divine level powerhouse, and it will be the same for Long Fei. Jean Tiantu did not believe it either. But he wanted to force everything on Long Fei. Long Fei grew up too fast. He had to restrain it or it would become a huge threat. The destruction of the Hellgate was a living warning. Jean Tiantu said, Long Fei is indeed a semi-realistic realm, but almost all the clan elders died to him. If we do not get rid of him, it will become a hidden danger. All Master S, I beg you to attack together. As soon as he finished. An old man sneered, looked disdainfully at Jean Tiantu, and said, how scared are you of Long Fei? You actually asked us to join hands and kill a trash from the semi-realistic realm? Is he qualified? Even if his talent and cultivation are good, who are we? The peak of in this world of bastards. Do you want to join forces to kill him? It was full of disdain. Even if the battle letter died, they would not put Long Fei in their eyes. Jean Tiantu said, this child killed many of our Jean clan elders. We must use our lightning-like power to kill him, to shake the prestige of our Jean clan, he insisted. His purpose for coming to 9 secret borders, other than reporting the news of Jean Wushuang breaking through to the God's Tower, was to bring all 8 Master S out at the same time. The current Chaos Realm was a complete mess following the destruction of the Hell Gate. If the Jean clan were to step out now, they would be able to easily dominate the entire plane. After a long time, the leading master let out a light breath, and said, it's been so many years since I last went out to walk around. We should go out and take a look. As soon as he finished, the other 7 were startled, then began to laugh. Jean Tiantu was ecstatic in his heart, and thought to himself, Long Fei, you're not going to die this time? At this moment, outside Jean family's valley, stood at the entrance to the valley, looking at the Jean's elder who had lost his human form, he smiled slightly and said, go, inform your patriarch that your father has come. The clan elder stumbled into the valley and turned around to look at Long Fei. He grinned and laughed coldly, brat, just wait for your death. Long Fei is here. Long Fei is here. The sound exploded in the valley. The disciples of the Jean clan also rushed out like a surging tide. Long Fei glanced at the main artifact, and said slightly, it's time to fill up the main gun. The main gun hasn't been used for a long time, I wonder if it will rust. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's afterimage was like a ghost as he stepped into the crowd of people. The slaughter begins. Chapter 1608, Arriving at Master. Chapter 1608, Arriving at Master. To be able to make a move, it was definitely not an exaggeration. The moment he stepped into Jean Clan Valley, Long Fei's slaughter mode had started. Those Jean Clan disciples rushed forward and shouted, you dare to come here and behave atrociously, today will be your doomsday. Before he could finish his words, his chest was crushed by the palm force released from Long Fei's body, causing blood to spurt out crazily from his mouth, killing him instantly. Ding! The system sounded out. Long Fei didn't pay any attention to it, because his current level was already at the peak. If he couldn't break through, then no matter how much experience points he had, it would be useless, unless he could draw in the heavenly tribulation. However, he had not reached that point yet. Boom! As the sword in his hand fell, another wave of disciples' heads were decapitated. Ding ding ding! A series of system beep sounds rang out. After consecutively killing a few people, Long Fei suddenly stopped as he thought in his heart, Domain Treasure Series. Buzz. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Domain Treasure Essence Sword. Ding! The Domain Treasure Yuan Essence has been absorbed. The energy will fill up the entire layer. The current main artifact had already been transformed into the Dragon Coffin mode. Although there were 2 levels of evolution, each of them were unrelated to the other. Thus, it would not affect the filling of energy, but it was still the same. The energy filling up of the main artifact in Golden Cudgel mode had already reached level 100. As long as Long Fei released it, he could instantly enter Sun Wukong mode. And what Long Fei needed to do now was to kill people. Striking energy value, and also Berserk Domain Treasure. Boom. 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 Long Fei acted as if there was no one around. Every place he went was filled with killing intent. Not a single one was left. Warhouse. It must be extinguished today. Kill him. Hurry up and kill him. I can't do it. How powerful can a mere Long Fei be? Disciples of the Zhon clan, listen up. Attack. At the same time, the injured Zhon's elder quickly ran to Zhon Tiantu's courtyard. Seeing the disciples of the Zhon clan fall one by one, and with Long Fei coming over step, his heart turned slightly cold. The more Long Fei killed, the braver he became. He was completely intoxicated in this world of slaughter. One had to know that he walked the path of death. It was to slaughter its way into the Tao, and everything was going wild. This is bad. This is bad. At the entrance of the 9 secret borders, a few clan elders knelt on the ground and shouted loudly, "Clan leader, Long Fei, Long Fei, Long Fei has attacked and entered the valley." What? The space between Zhon Tiantu's eyebrows tightened. At this time, a master snorted coldly, "If I don't go look for him, he'll come look for us first. All right, little bastard, today we'll see how capable you are." Boom. The door of the 9 secret borders suddenly opened, and a white figure flew out like lightning. Zhon Tiantu laughed in his heart, "You dog, let's see how long you can continue being so arrogant for." The remaining 7 Master S walked out of the secret world. Let's go. Let's see if Long Fei has 3 heads and 6 arms. Even 3 heads and 6 arms are crippled. If this kid really is a descendant of the Dragon Clan, then it might be beneficial for us to cultivate the power of the Dragon Tomb. Don't rush to kill him. The old man in the lead spoke plainly. At this time, an old man said, "Big brother, do you want to take that fellow from the Dragon's necropolis out for a walk? The Dragon Soul Battle God must be really cool." Everyone looked at him. The leading old man shook his head and said, "There's no need to rush. A mere lame duck does not require us to use our trump cards." Dragon Soul Battle God. The colossal dragon's soul used the fitted soul spirit body technique to merge with its body and transformed itself into an extremely powerful dragon energy. This was the strongest power of the 9 secret borders. It was also their Zhon clan's strongest trump card. He would not use it unless he absolutely had to. Boom. Boom. Long Fei, you dog, give me your life. Chapter 1609, The First Cannon in Zhongjia Valley. Chapter 1609, The First Cannon in Zhongjia Valley. As soon as he finished, the white shadow of the ancestors of Zhon's shook. Boom. The ground suddenly exploded as waves of powerful spirit chi rushed towards Long Fei like shockwaves. Everything around him was cracking. The air exploded. His body was suffused with a golden glow as he was released one by one. The eyes of the Zhon clan disciple were blazing as he knelt down. "Greetings, master." The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly as he laughed excitedly. "Boss, I like it, hey." The golden light emitted by the old man's body was almost the same as the light emitted by the battle letter. The old man's golden light was almost the same as the light emitted from the battle letter. However, Long Fei glanced at his striking energy value. "We are still a few people away from going berserk with one more domain treasure." Long Fei. Zhon Hong bellowed, his 2 eyes staring at Long Fei with an intense killing intent. He coldly said, "How can the Zhon clan allow you to be so presumptuous?" Buzz buzz buzz. While they were talking, the pressure from Zhon Hong's body surged like an avalanche as it rushed towards Long Fei. Zhon Hong shouted, "Kneel down." Rumble. A sound of explosion rang out, and a strong pressure and thunderous might swept over. Very strong. Extremely strong. But Long Fei acted as if he did not care, and with a move of his body, he landed in front of one of the Zhon clan disciples, sneered and said, "This old man is being too presumptuous." How? Crack. Then the Battle Clan disciple would instantly be killed by Long Fei. Under normal powerhouse's current state, a semi-realistic realm could instantly kill a powerhouse, and even a semi-realistic realm's powerhouse would not be able to block 3 of his attacks. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhon clan disciple for obtaining 1000 EXP, 100 holy source points, 10 energy values points. At the peak of Long Fei's level, he had less and less experience. However, there was no change in the striking energy value at all. There are still 2 people left. Long Fei laughed coldly. At this time, Zhon Hong's divine might had already smashed into Long Fei's consciousness, causing it to surge crazily. The power in his mind roiled. Long Fei's body also sank slightly. Zhon Hong roared, "Kneel!" Boom. The power on Zhon Hong's body exploded outwards, and the divine might could be seen with the naked eye as it rushed towards Long Fei like a wild beast. If Long Fei were to be crushed like this, he would not be able to move even if he was not injured. However, Long Fei still ignored him. He moved. Shua. He instantly appeared in front of the 2 disciples, grinned, and said, "You too, die." Boom, boom, ding, ding. The 2 system beeps sounded out. At this moment, Long Fei moved his hand, releasing 100 points of striking energy value in exchange for a domain treasure. Ding. System notification. The energy of the main gun has been filled up. The system beep descended. Heh. Long Fei grinned. Seeing the incoming divine might, Long Fei stared at Zhon Hong and laughed coldly. Smile. Later, you will kneel on the ground and cry. Zhon Hong scoffed. He basically did not place Long Fei in his eyes, and Long Fei did not have the qualifications either. Never seen it before. Now that he had met Long Fei, he was even more certain that a lame duck like Long Fei was simply unworthy of being mentioned in the same breath as him. I cry. Let's see who cries. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The system beep sounded again. Ding. Target locked. Long Fei moved his body, placing the dragon coffin on his shoulder. He locked onto Zhon Hong and shouted, "Idiot, tremble, fire." Boom. The dragon coffin moved. The energy released from the 5-layer domain treasure formed a strong main gun power, locking onto Zhon Hong and blasting out. This is my first shot at the battle house. Bring it on. Explode the heaven and earth. After firing the cannon, Long Fei withdrew his main artifact and stood still on the spot as he looked at the distant Zhon Hong, with a cold and scornful smile on his face. Zhon Hong's gaze tensed up. He suddenly felt the powerful energy from the cannonball, but he did not panic, but laughed coldly. A mere energy cannon like that can injure me? I am a divine-level powerhouse. Just this little thing. Mph, overestimating yourself. In that instant, Zhon Hong's figure moved, and a divine light shield appeared around his body, slashing out with a palm, "Destroy." Long Fei laughed. He laughed happily. Is a divine-level powerhouse awesome? A little thing. Overestimating your capabilities? You'll soon know what the power of a gadget is. As long as the main gun could lock on, it would be killed with a blast. Not to mention in Chaos Realm, even in Divinity, it would be the same. The first thing main gun did was to kill one of the Divinity's. This divine-level powerhouse and Neo X. When Zhon Hong released the power of his palm, it was completely useless as it pierced straight through. The wrinkles on Zhon Hong's forehead deepened as he moved his feet and jumped out at full speed. Flee. Aren't you awesome? Didn't you despise this kind of small thing? Escape your sister. Do you think you can escape? Long Fei laughed out loud. He had never seen such an idiot before. Under the main gun, not a single blade of grass grew. Zhon Hong felt more and more that this energy cannon was not simple. Zhon Hong moved, body fusion of the idea. Shua. In almost an instant, our idea was used to condense a fake body. Soon. This speed also slightly startled Long Fei. However, there was no use in using a fake body. Because the target was real face Zhon Hong, so no matter how many fake bodies he released, it was useless. Shua. He went around the fake body and threw it at Zhon Hong. This time, Zhon Hong was stupid. Long Fei laughed loudly. Come on, aren't you awesome? Didn't the ancestors of Zhon's look down on everything? Come on, take it head on. Master, I think it's an old dog. Ha ha ha. Zhon Hong was enraged to the point that smoke came out of his head. Seeing the energy cannonball getting closer, he also threw caution out of the window, lowering his body and taking root under his feet. He converted all the energy on his body into a shield and roared out, "Let me see how strong your energy cannonball is." Before he could finish his words, boom! A loud explosion resounded. Zhon Hong's body disappeared. He was blasted into the sky. At the right time, Zhon Tiantu and the other 7 ancestors of Zhon's S rushed over. Where is he? Zhon Tiantu looked at Long Fei in the distance, then looked at the surrounding battle clan disciples who were in a daze. The master in the lead was also shocked. He could not see Zhon Hong's figure in the surroundings and he could not help but call out, "Junior brother?" He had disappeared. It was really strange. That was the ancestors of Zhon's. Just when they were about to ask where they were, all the disciples looked up at the sky with stupefied expressions. At the same time, a brain fell from the sky. Clang! Just like a broken basin falling down, and coincidentally rolled down to Zhon Tiantu's feet, his skull turning black, and still smoking. 1 shot, 1 kill. Chapter 1610 Nex. Chapter 1610 Nex. He was stupefied. Everyone was dumbfounded. Even Long Fei himself was a little dumbstruck. Because he had forgotten something very important. The main gun's power was too great. After 1 cannon blast, Zhon Hong's body only had this piece of brain left, everything else had turned into ashes, nothing else remained. They were all turned into ashes. He only left behind 10 points of energy values and no experience for Long Fei. Long Fei secretly groaned in his heart, "I forgot about this." It was the same for the powerhouse who had killed Divinity last time. He did not even fart, not because he did not want to explode, but because the main gun's power was too strong, causing him to forcefully blast to death anything that could be dropped. So bitter. My boss. It disappeared just like that. Long Fei felt bitter in his heart. This main gun must not be used carelessly in the future, it's so angry. Zhon Tiantu looked at the smoking skull beneath his feet, and then said in a daze, "This is Master Zhon Hong?" The 7 Master S also stared at the heads on the ground. His brain couldn't react in time. All the Zhon clan disciples nodded. A single blast had turned him into a complete mess. Zhon Tiantu stared at an elder and bellowed, "How did Master Zhon Hong become like this?" Then the elder immediately raised his head and replying clan leader, I was beaten to this state by Long Fei in a single move. Impossible. With a roar, a Zhon's elder walked out, his eyes stared straight at Long Fei, and said solemnly, "I do not care how he died, in short." With a flick of a finger, he pointed at Long Fei's nose with extreme anger and killing intent as he said, "You're about to die." Long Fei shrugged. Really? Zhon Hong had said the same thing just now, but now that he is dead, I am still alive. Ah! The old man was enraged, the divine aura on his body erupted like a tsunami, his divine power surging as he rushed out. He pierced through the space and instantly landed in front of Long Fei. With a flip of his right hand, his palm struck towards Long Fei's head. Too fast. Too fast. It was so fast that he couldn't even see it clearly. A light flashed in everyone's eyes. He's dead for sure. Long Fei is dead for sure. He can't react at this speed at all. It was only a moment ago when Master Zhon Hong was careless. It's definitely impossible now. Long Fei will definitely die. Many of the Zhon clan disciples started to discuss with each other. Strength was everything. The difference between the realm of the semi-realistic realm and that of the divine level was too great, so Long Fei was unable to reverse it. With a flip of his right hand, a gigantic palm print appeared in the sky. Even if Long Fei was fast enough, he could not dodge it because the palm print was simply too big. However, Long Fei did not plan to dodge. Don't be terrified. Exactly. Long Fei's speed was not good, but his reaction speed was not slow. The moment Jean's elder moved, his idea sank, controlled the force on his forehead and shouted, "Sky eye, open." Buzz. On his forehead, his third eye opened. Last time he only used his healing power. It could be said that healing was not the strong point of the Sky Eye, but its strong point was attack. Looking at an extra eye on Long Fei's forehead, the old man could not help but mock him. "One more eye and you're good. Kid, this world is about strength. Die." Rumble, rumble, rumble. With a flip of the palm imprint, it shattered the void and pressed towards Long Fei with a divine might. The entire Zhon clan valley began to tremble. In the distance, the mountains shattered and the earth quaked. Under the huge force, Long Fei's body was barely able to resist and he started to tremble. But between his brows, his third eye stared at the old man and shouted, "Sky Eye." Purple light shot out. "Bring it on. Let me witness your strength." The power of his heaven's eyes activated. A violet light flashed. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes instantly became like a machine gun, but what it shot out was not a bullet, but a purple beam of light. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions exploded in the air one after another. What level of holy artifact is the Heaven's Eyes? A main artifact. Its strength and speed were not comparable to the main gun, but slaughtering the powerhouse S of the one-star guardhood wasn't a problem at all. Boom, 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 boom. Asterisk rays of purple light pierced through the body of the ancestors of Jean's. In the short span of half a breath, the master, who was in midair and had a divine might, turned into a sieve. Blood spewed out of his mouth. His body's defense was completely useless. The thing that Long Fei felt the most was that when the purple light was shot out, his body would tremble at the same time. This feeling was too exhilarating. The bloody wound on John's elder's head nearly bottomed out in an instant. However, a middle-stage Heaven's Eye holy artifact consumed too much energy. A single beam of purple light was equivalent to 1,000,000 points of holy source, and each time, it would cost tens of millions of holy source rumble. A purple light pierced through Jean's elder's head. His body exploded. The huge palm print in the sky also dissipated. Long Fei said excitedly, "The divine level powerhouse is impressive. This daddy precisely killed you divine level powerhouse SF*CK. Explode for me." Rumble. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing ancestors of Jean's for obtaining 320 million experience points, 100 million holy source points, and 10 energy values points. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the heavenly bone sacrifice. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 9 underworld battle blood. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a series of berserk attacks. Long Fei looked at the object that exploded, and his gaze tensed up. Heavenly bone shackles. The letter also dropped. This time, another one dropped. Could it be the same power as the God's Bone Taboo and the God's Steel Stone? Seeing the two words Heavenly Bone, Long Fei couldn't help but think of the God's Bone Taboo. The current magic body was a completely independent body. He had been sent by Long Fei to a mysterious place to kill monsters and level up. If she was by his side, Long Fei would make the magic body fuse with the Heavenly Bone Shrek. Perhaps it could make the Devil God or the Heavenly Calamity Divine Tree in his body even stronger. Another Jean's elder died. He had not expected this at all. Long Fei's Heaven's Eyes widened, and looked at the few white-haired elders beside Jean Tiantu. The corners of his mouth curled up, and he said excitedly, "Wow, there are still 6 super bosses. It's so fun." Long Fei still had a lot of power that he couldn't release. Looking at their blank expressions, Long Fei reminded them, "Stop blanking out, who's next? Or should I say, all of you come at once." Incomparable savagery. The semi-realistic realm was crazy enough to not put these divine-level powerhouse in its eyes. At this moment, the remaining 6 ancestors of Jean's S all burned with fury, their eyes staring straight at Long Fei, their killing intent growing dark and dense. At the same time, Nangong Yang looked at the sky above him, pointed at a spot, and said, "That is the entrance to the heavenly palace of the Tower Question of God." Chapter 1611, 72 Transformations. Chapter 1611, 72 Transformations Attack. Inside Zhon Clan Valley, War Tiger shouted. The Six Master S instantly moved. Almost at the same time, he landed beside Long Fei. The six of them had joined forces. There was no precedent. This had never happened in the history of the Zhon clan before. It was unimaginable for the six great master to work together to fight against a single semi-realistic realm. However, in this world, no one cared about how weak their opponents were. They only cared about who the final victor was. Means were not important. The most important thing was the result. The six of them disappeared into thin air, and all of the Zhon clan disciples became excited. Long Fei is dead for sure now, ha ha ha. Let's see how long he can stay alive with the six great master S. Long Fei, prepare to die. Zhon Tiantu stroked his beard and smiled. He was very clear on the cultivation levels of the six master S. They were definitely able to kill Long Fei in an instant. Because they are the ancestors of Zhons. The powerhouse at the peak of the Zhon clan. Zhon Tiantu looked at Long Fei, who was not far away, and revealed a cold and scornful smile. He muttered, with your death, you could also be considered to have eliminated a hidden danger for Wu Shuang. The pressure was like a mountain, and the roar was like the sea. Layers upon layers of pressure crushed down, unable to resist. The ground that Long Fei occupied caved in and the sky darkened. The pressure that the six of them were releasing was causing crackling sounds to ring out. Powerful. Incomparable power. Long Fei's body trembled, his skin was caving in. This was the first time he had felt such a strong pressure, and this kind of feeling was extremely uncomfortable. At the same time, it made him extremely frustrated. F***CK. The attack that Laozi hates the most is coercion. Trying to act cool at the divine level? Then let's see how you die. Long Fei lowered his voice and linked with the golden cudgel, shouting, activate your energy, Sun Wukong's power, activate for me. Buzz. Rays of red light flashed on the golden cudgel that were at the 100 layer of energy. Following the movement of Long Fei's idea, the energy on the golden cudgel exploded. A loud sound echoed out. A strand of energy from the main artifact rushed into Long Fei's body. Shua. Long Fei's body changed as he became a Sun Wukong. The expression on the faces of the six Master S suddenly changed. Long Fei's sudden transformation caused them to be a little shocked. However, in just an instant, the six of them didn't weaken at all. Long Fei, give me your life. Die. Roaring, the powerful attacks of the six people fell like thunder. The combined strength of the six was simply too strong. So powerful that it was unshakable. The moment his power dropped, Long Fei grinned, and the idea moved, change. Shua. His figure disappeared. Long Fei transformed into a golden-winged mozzie and immediately disappeared. The change from Sun Wukong to a mosquito was as easy as lifting a finger. Rumble. 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 With the explosion of power, the entire Zhon clan valley began to tremble. The ground began to crack and many Zhon clan disciples were forced to the ground by the powerful shockwave. However, Long Fei was not their target of attack. I'm here. Long Fei appeared from the real face, giggled, and said, aren't you guys a little too weak? Long Fei appeared not far behind them. The six of them were enraged. They looked at each other, and without any hesitation, they launched another palm attack. This time, it was even fiercer, stronger. The war tiger roared out, pay attention to his chi. Watch his movements. Understood. 6 big attacks landed, and 2 of the Master S kept their eyes on Long Fei. But, right at the moment when the 6 attacks struck Long Fei shouted in his heart, change. Shua. He disappeared once more. Ancestors of Zhons looked extremely confused as he said, Big brother, he's gone. Big brother, your aura disappeared as well. This is impossible. Just as they were stunned, Long Fei was already standing behind them. He mocked, divine-level powerhouses are also so mediocre, weak chicken. Ha ha ha. This was simply an insult. Twice he missed, and he was laughed at. How could he tolerate this? As a member of the ancestors of Zhons, even though he had so many disciples, he could not help but feel embarrassed. Anger soared. The leader of the master war tiger shouted, "We'll split up and move out, whoosh whoosh whoosh." Asterisk 6 points fell into different places in an instant. The war tiger continued, "The idea have joined hands." Boom. The 6 people's auras formed a powerful idea net and surrounded Long Fei. In that case, it would be hard for Long Fei to escape. However, it was just their way of thinking. "Kid, let's see how you will escape this time." The war tiger roared in anger and took the initiative to attack. "Wow. I'm so scared." Long Fei pretended to be afraid, and when the war tiger's attack fell, his figure changed again. His body disappeared. He turned into a small bug and slowly crawled away. A few seconds later, Long Fei's body recovered. Continue. The moment his body was about to recover, another ancestors of Jean's struck over. "Let's see where you can dodge to." Whoosh. Long Fei's figure disappeared again. Boom. It disappeared again. Boom. Still disappeared. When Long Fei disappeared, his aura also disappeared, leaving nothing behind. The combined attack of the 6 failed. Separating attacks or failing. Long Fei's mouth had a cold smile, and said, Come, King came to hit me." He had a despicable look on his face. Everyone hated him so much that their teeth itched. The anger in the hearts of the 6 master almost ignited his body. The war tiger stared at Long Fei and shouted, "You dog, if you have the guts, don't run away." "What's the big deal?" Long Fei grinned, "Hit me if you dare, you are all trash, ancestors of Jean's." "Divine. In my opinion, it's just a bunch of old trash. What use do you think all of you have? If the 6 of you can't even deal with me, a semi-realistic realm cultivator, then how can you all have the face to live? Mine is blushing for you. Look at your grandchildren, don't you all feel ashamed?" Long Fei said with a smile. In his mind, he was also constantly paying attention to the time he needed to transform. The transformation only took 3 minutes. It had been almost 2 minutes now. What he needed to do now was to collapse the hearts of the 6 Master S. Under these circumstances, their defenses will be reduced by 1-fold. The war tiger swept a glance at the Jean clan disciples around. Those Jean clan disciples all lowered their heads, not daring to look at her directly. Obviously, they all felt that it was a bit shameful when Long Fei said so much. "Ah!" Ancestors of Jean's furiously shouted, "You dog, I will cripple you." His heart had already collapsed. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly, revealing a sinister cold smile. "It's time for me to explode." Chapter 16:12 Violent Killing. Chapter 16:12 Violent killing. Playing tricks only broke their hearts, made them angry, made them go crazy, made them lose their mind. In this case, the alliance of the 6 Master S had been completely lost. This was what Long Fei wanted. One of the master roared towards Long Fei without a care. Everyone thought that Long Fei would use some strange method to dodge the explosion, so no one paid attention to Long Fei's current position, but rather, to another place. They wanted to see clearly the rules of Long Fei's movement. But, buzz! The golden cudgel combusted and the great sage's power surged out. Facing the Jean's elder divine, Long Fei went up to face him. Boom! The Samisen True Fire's burning staff smashed down. Too fast. Too fierce. It fiercely smashed onto the head of the ancestors of Jean's. Bam! His entire body was like a nail nailed to the ground as he let out a blood-curdling scream. Without waiting for him to react, Long Fei once again smashed the top of ancestors of Jean's head from the sky, directly knocking his head out of the ground and into the ground, causing fresh blood to spurt all over. The gash on his head also instantly disappeared with 2 swishes. The system beep rang. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing ancestors of Jean's for obtaining 3.2 billion experience, 10 million holy source and 10 energy values. Congratulations to the player Long Fei for obtaining the heavenly bone sacrifice. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 9 underworld battle blood. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1-star guardhood. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining A series of notifications sounded. Hi. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. Why? Long Fei did not escape. Why did he suddenly attack? Why did he possess the power to kill divine-level powerhouse? Everyone was dumbfounded. They thought that Long Fei would escape, but no. Long Fei lightly hooked his finger, stared at the war tiger, and smiled. Next. It was incomparably domineering. It was incomparably savage, so wild that it was a complete mess. Divine. They are killing your powerhouse SR. Another master rushed out, releasing a roar. With a flip of his right hand, a gigantic hammer appeared in the air, flying straight towards Long Fei's head. I will kill you. The 9 of them were like 9 brothers. The death of any one of them was a huge blow to them. They had been together for so many years, and grew up together. But now, they had all died one after another, their hearts filled with rage and killing intent. All they wanted was to kill Long Fei. In that instant, Long Fei smirked. I was just afraid that you wouldn't come. Boom. Long Fei moved his body and pulled out a strand of hair. His real face turned into a small moth and flew straight into the air. Boom. The Zhon's elder released all the god power in his body and smashed down with his hammer. Incomparable power. Long Fei's fake body also instantly crumbled apart, turning into a strand of hair that floated down from the sky. Dead. That's not right. That's not right. War Tiger frowned as she felt the energy fluctuation in the sky. Above it, 6th brother is above it. Too late. Long Fei moved, the golden cudgel in his hand smashed down, and laughed. It's too slow. Boom. Another violent strike smashed Master to the ground, causing the ground to crack and his body to be nailed to the ground. Long Fei descended, and fiercely smashed down onto the top of his head. At the same time, he coldly laughed. Next. Chapter 1613, This Old Man's Yang Huang Ancestor. Chapter 1613, This Old Man's Yang Huang Ancestor Rumble. A loud sound echoed out. A crack line extended for thousands of meters before the ancestors of Zhon's was smashed into the ground, causing blood to spurt all over the ground. Long Fei smiled slightly and said, just bury him directly in the ground. Save it the trouble of burying him. Ha ha ha. The faces of the surrounding Zhon clan disciples turned ugly. 439 secret warrior family S to be slaughtered consecutively. Was this still a war house? Just how strong was Long Fei? Would he be able to withstand it? Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. The strength that Long Fei had displayed was just too terrifying. He couldn't withstand it at all. Zhon Tiantu frowned tightly, and said in a low voice, Master, do you want Wushuang to come back? After all, he has obtained the power of our ancestor, he can definitely. Not waiting for him to finish. The war tiger shouted, no need. If I can't even handle a mere Long Fei, I'm not fit to be the master of a war family, and based on that, I don't deserve to live in this world. Anger. It burned crazily in the war tiger's mind. He could only watch as his brothers died one by one. He had never experienced pain like this before, and it was extremely painful. The war tiger stared at Long Fei and said, Brat, I have to say, your strength is unexpected. You made me angry, so you will definitely die. Long Fei looked at the transformation time. He was a little nervous. There were only 20 seconds left. Immediately, Long Fei laughed. Old trash, don't dilly-dally. Come at me together, that would save you more time. I don't want to talk to him. As long as the 5 of them were not acting in concert, Long Fei would be able to handle it. Furthermore, Long Fei had not completely grasped the power of this transformation. Kid. Stop being so arrogant. The war tiger roared. The 4 Master S beside him rushed out at the same time, instantly landing in Long Fei's 4 directions. Kill. The 4 of them attacked at the same time. Long Fei pulled out a few hairs on his body. Change. Multiple clones materialized. In that moment, Long Fei did not expect that the war tiger would suddenly disappear, and he could not sense his chi at all. War Tiger S were the strongest of the 9 Great Master, and were extremely close to a 2-star expert. His aura was something that Long Fei's current cultivation could not sense. Boom! Boom, boom. The four of them hacked down at the same time, their four hairs standing on end. Long Fei did not immediately reveal his real face. Instead, he turned into a small worm and hid himself. Long Fei, come out and die. You dog, aren't you arrogant? Come out here and die. Get out here to die. Long Fei remained unmoved. He was waiting. He had to find the location of the war tiger for him to be able to move. However, time was too precious for him now. The transformation time was running out bit by bit. 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 5 seconds. If this continued, he would recover his real face's appearance once the time to transform. At that time, things might not be easy. There are only 3 seconds left. Seeing that there were only 3 seconds left, Long Fei could not wait any longer. In that instant, Long Fei's figure moved, the burning golden cudgel fiercely smashed down towards the head of a master, and at that moment, the war tiger suddenly rushed out from the void, and growled out, Long Fei, die. One palm. A golden light. It was as if the scorching sun was in his hands. An incomparably hot energy instantly rushed into Long Fei's mind. In his sea of consciousness, he sensed an incomparably strong energy aura, and the blood on top of Long Fei's head practically bottomed out in an instant. Resurrection ring, open. Ding. The resurrection ring has been opened. All right. Long Fei knew that he would not be able to withstand the palm of the war tiger, so he threw caution to the wind, and the golden cudgel in his hands exploded at the last second of the transformation time. Rumble. The power from the golden cudgel cut through the air, directly slicing our ancestors of Jean's in half. Explode. Rumble. Once his health fell, he would be instantly killed. The war tiger roared like thunder. Ah! Die. Burning heaven flames poured into Long Fei's body. Boom. The amount of blood on top of Long Fei's head also instantly bottomed out, and he died with a single palm strike. His body fell to the ground. Third brother, third brother. A few ancestors of Jean's surrounded the master that was split into two halves by Long Fei, blood flowing all over the ground. The war tiger looked at Long Fei's corpse and felt that it was a little strange. My burning heaven fire carried the destructive element, but why is his body not damaged in the slightest? Under that one palm, he was certain that Long Fei was dead for sure. Moreover, Long Fei did not have any defense. Normally, if Long Fei died, he would definitely die. Not only would he die, his body would also not be smashed into smithereens. However, Long Fei's body was not damaged in the slightest. This confused the war tiger. He did not think much about it, since Long Fei was already dead. The Jean clan disciples cheered. He's finally dead. Ha ha ha. To challenge the master, you are courting death. The mighty master. Master is awesome. Long Fei's heart had also relaxed slightly. The Jean clan was severely injured by Long Fei, 5 Master S fell, and 9 Divine level Powerhouse S fell. He had to admit that Long Fei was very strong. Injured by the Jean clan's vital energy. However, as long as Zhong Wushuang was not affected, these injuries were not a problem. Zhong Wushuang condensed his divine spark, flew to the ancient holy battlefield, and recovered all of the Zhong clan's former glory. When Zhong Wushuang gained his footing in the ancient holy battlefield, that would be when Zhong clan returned to the divinity. Right now, Zhong Wushuang was the core of the Zhong clan. As long as Zhong Wushuang did not die, it did not matter. Boom. Boom. Rumble. A few deafening noises resounded outside Zhong family's valley. A roar. Long Fei. Buzz. A figure heavily fell down, instantly landing in front of the war tiger. Looking at Long Fei, who had collapsed on the ground, the space between his eyebrows tightened. You guys killed him? The war tiger's expression turned cold. Who are you? The old man standing in front of him had an extremely dense aura, so much so that, not inferior to him. It was hard to imagine. Does Chaos Realm have such a powerhouse? It was also at this time. A disciple hurriedly ran into the valley and said, Clan leader, something bad has happened. Zhong Tiantu's eyes turned sinister. He asked softly, what is it? Long Fei had already dealt with it, so anything was not a problem. That disciple's face was pale as he said, we, Our Zhong Clan Valley has been surrounded. Huh! Zhong Tiantu's face darkened, he snorted and said, "Who dares to go against my Zhong Clan in Chaos Realm? Are you courting death?" The old man standing in front of the war tiger said solemnly, "It's this old man." The war tiger asked again, "Who are you?" The elder's cold voice rang out, "This old man's Yang Huang ancestor." Chapter 1614, Resurrection. Chapter 1614, Resurrection. As soon as his voice faded, the sky shook, and a dense special aura exploded in Zhong Clan Valley. At this moment, boom, boom, they had all arrived at the skyless sect that was created by the Yang Huang ancestor. They were all part of the demon race, and they were all giant demons, so they were all extremely powerful. In addition, quite a few had deity-level cultivation. If they wanted to compete in 9 secret warrior families, they were not weak at all. This was the power that the Yang Huang ancestor created for Long Fei. He had always been waiting for Long Fei to unite the Chaos Realm, and then, he would pass this power to him so that he could enter the ancient holy battlefield to compete for hegemony. Seeing Long Fei on the ground, his heart felt a faint stabbing pain. Long Fei had saved him before. It was Long Fei who allowed him to return to the Chaos Realm. It was Long Fei who gave him a new life, but now, Long Fei is dead. The anger in his heart was burning crazily. The Zhong Clan disciples looked at the powerhouse that were everywhere, and many of them were trembling in fear. Surround Zhong family? This was something that had never occurred to the members of the Zhong Clan before. How powerful was Zhong Clan? How dare they surround Zhong Clan? Zhong Tiantu frowned. "You better figure out where this is, and who broke through the tower question of God, and then you better figure out everything." At Zhong family, it was incomparably powerful. Who would dare be rash? The war tiger also shouted slightly, "Yang Huang ancestor? I've never heard of it." For Yang Huang ancestor, let alone war tiger, there were not even any people in the entire Chaos Realm that knew about him. This was because the Yang Huang ancestor was completely different from them in this era. You've never heard of it? Because when I was hanging around in Chaos Realm, your Zhong Clan didn't even exist. Yang Huang ancestor's eyes revealed a sharp killing intent. Long Fei's death had made him angry. The Wartiger's heart sank, and said, "Impossible, Battle family has existed in the Chaos Realm for millions of years. If you had existed at that time, your lifespan would not have lasted until now. I don't care who you are, and I don't care what relationship you have with Long Fei, but one thing I ask you to understand," the War Tiger said solemnly, "this is the 9 Secret Warrior family." The 3 words 9 Secret Warrior family were particularly emphasized. 9 Secret Warrior family could crush any power. However, the Yang Huang ancestor laughed coldly and said, "I don't care what kind of T9 Secret Warrior family you are, or what kind of family you are from. If you kill Long Fei, then you will die. Everyone must die." Anger soared. As soon as his voice fell, the disciples on both sides of the valley shouted in unison. A huge wave of killing intent rolled over as it came crushing down on them. At this moment, they instantly rushed down the valley as well. The Wartiger's eyes staring straight at Yang Huang ancestor. "Do you really want to fight?" Yang Huang ancestor said, "This old man will never stop until we kill your entire Zhong clan." Boom! The power of the Yang Huang ancestor burst out, his aura spreading for thousands of kilometers. In that moment, the pressure on his body suddenly dropped. Rumble! The entire Zhong clan valley started to shake. Other than the War Tiger, everyone else in the Zhong clan were crushed. Their faces were pale and filled with pain, even the ancestors of Zhong Zes were the same. He had been crushed to the point that he couldn't even breathe. Extremely uncomfortable. The expression on the Wartiger's face secretly changed. He never thought that there would actually be such a powerful person in the Chaos Realm, and it was something he had never heard of before. They were completely shocked. However, this did not mean that he would be afraid. The Wartiger's chi also followed his movements and burst out, blocking the attack heavily. At this moment, a system notification rang out. Ding! 100 layers of energy filled up. Cough cough. Long Fei coughed and got up from the ground, saying, Ancestor, you came really slowly. Chapter 1615 Special Items, Myriad Spirit Set. Chapter 1615 Special Items, Myriad Spirit Set. Suddenly, Long Fei then crawled up from the ground. Everyone was scared silly. Even the Yang Huang ancestor was a little dazed. He immediately laughed as he looked at Long Fei, who was about to stand up. Ha ha ha. Good kid, I knew your life wouldn't be so easy to kill. Very excited. Yang Huang ancestor relaxed all of a sudden. Now that Long Fei was alive, there was no need to be so anxious. Yang Huang ancestor raised his hand, and all the powerhouses on the two sides of the valley stopped. Yang Huang ancestor slightly shouted, "Call me young master." Everyone looked at Long Fei, and then shouted at the same time, "Young master." His voice was deafening. It spread out for 1,000 kilometers. Its aura was incomparably majestic and domineering. Awesome to the point of being a complete mess. Long Fei grinned. Yang Huang ancestor laughed. "Kid, how's your show? Isn't that cool enough?" It was more than just showing off. It was like a cow running in the rain. Long Fei said, "Ancestor, you are awesome." Ha ha ha. The two of them laughed at the same time. However, the disciples of the Zhon clan, those from the Master S, Zhon Tiantu, and the War Tiger all had ugly expressions, especially the War Tiger. He stared at Long Fei and shook his head. "It's not dead yet." "Impossible, absolutely impossible. No one can survive under my burning heaven blaze." I clearly felt that he died, but why did he suddenly come back to life? Is he a ghost? Is he even human? He clearly died, why did he suddenly come back to life? They were all stupefied. The existence of Resurrection Ring was itself a bug for this world. A lot of the things that Long Fei possessed were things that had never before appeared in this world. Resurrection Ring, Paralyzed Ring, Protective Ring. They were all special existences. However, the Resurrection Ring now only had one last chance to revive. Once it was used up, it would be gone. Unless it could repair its durability. However, in this world, Long Fei had yet to find a place to repair the endurance of Resurrection Ring. The moment the Resurrection Ring was activated, Long Fei immediately came to life, but he did not immediately crawl back up. Instead, he held his breath and feigned death. In that case, playing dead was his only option. During this process, he crazily used ancient spiritual artifact to replenish the golden cudgel's energy. When Yang Huang ancestor arrived, Long Fei was ecstatic. At that time, the energy was not completely filled, and he was still quietly filling up. The golden cudgel's energy filled up to the 100th floor. There was no cooldown. As long as the energy reached 100 layers, it could be released. A duel. Long Fei was not afraid of the War Tiger at all. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "You're very surprised, right? Ha ha ha. Everyone says that your Zhon clan is a bunch of trash. Kill me? Do you think you are qualified? Hurry and call Zhon Wushuang back. You can't stop me." With the Yang Huang ancestor here, the battle families were tightly surrounded, and now, Long Fei did not need to be afraid of anything. His current goal was to lure Zhon Wushuang back. Let the 8 King Kong save Shenyuan Li. This was Long Fei's plan. As long as Zhon Wushuang left the fairyland of Tower Question of God, then Long Fei would make it so that he would never be able to return. Zhon Tiantu's eyes turned sinister as he stared at Long Fei. There is no need for Wushuang to come out and deal with you." "Oh." Long Fei sneered, looked at Yang Huang ancestor and said, "Ancestor, these people are looking down on you." Yang Huang ancestor smiled, his fingers moved slightly, and he said one word coldly, "Kill." "Wait." The War Tiger bellowed, stared at Long Fei, and said, "Long Fei, what exactly do you want?" 5 ancestors of Zhon's S had fallen. There were only 4 people left. Long Fei was far too bizarre to think that he could actually survive under his burning heaven blaze. He was very strong, so the War Tiger had no choice but to admit this. He wasn't sure. As ancestors of Zhon's, he had to consider the situation for the Zhon clan. Long Fei smiled slightly, and said, "What I want is very simple, it's your Zhon clan members are all dead. The war tiger's face sank, and said faintly, Long Fei, you're very strong, but if you really want to fight to the death with us, that doesn't mean you'll be any better off. It's not a good thing for anyone to lose. Go ahead. As long as it's something my Zhon clan can do, I will do my best to satisfy you. Endure was the key at this time. The war tiger was waiting. When Zhon Wushuang condenses his divine spark and activates the strongest power of the main artifact, the battle family would become the absolute hegemons of the Chaos Realm. There would be no need to hold back. Today's grudge would be repaid tenfold. Whatever he could sacrifice now, he would sacrifice. Long Fei laughed and said, Your Zhon clan will give in? If that's the case. All right, I'll give you a chance. Hand over your head first. Long Fei laughed. He was not anxious. He wanted to lure Zhon Wushuang out. He believed it. Zhon Wushuang definitely paid close attention to the Zhon clan. He definitely knew what kind of situation the Zhon clan was in right now. Zhon Tiantu roared angrily, Brat, don't be too arrogant. Long Fei sneered, and said, You've hit the mark. This old man is such a wild and rampant person, what can you do about it? Unhappy? Let's fight. Zhon Tiantu clenched his fists tightly, and his joints started cracking. The war tiger also said in a heavy voice, Long Fei, fighting will not benefit either you or me. Finished. With a flip of his right hand, the war tiger declared, Ancient Thousand Spirit Cauldron. Myriad Spirit Sword. Myriad Spirit Armor. Myriad Spirit Purple Gold Boots. He took out an ancient Myriad Spirit set from his space ring, which was something that his Zhon clan found in a mysterious secret world. So far, they didn't know what the use of these things was. However, their appearance was very powerful, and their entire bodies flickered with a purple-golden light. One could tell with a single glance that they were no ordinary goods. Indeed, they couldn't develop it, and they didn't even know the level of the Myriad Spirit set, but Long Fei could immediately tell that these Myriad Spirit sets were powerful to the point of being a complete mess. Good stuff. Long Fei's mind tightened. All of these things had a yellow exclamation mark floating on them. What did this mean? This meant that every piece of equipment had a quest and that there was a huge secret hidden within them. Especially the ancient Thousand Spirit Cauldron, which had a golden exclamation mark, it definitely had an incomparable power. However, these things were not holy artifacts, especially special items. This was what attracted Long Fei. War Tiger only took out 4 pieces of Myriad Spirit equipment. There should be more. It's a whole set. Long Fei smiled and said, Is that all? What about the beggars? The War Tiger said indifferently, Then what else do you want? Long Fei's gaze turned sinister, and he laughed sinisterly, I'll take your life. In that instant, Yang Huang Ancestor shouted, Do it. Kill them all. Chapter 16:16 Source. Chapter 16:16 Source. Are you crazy? Do you think our Zhon clan is really afraid of you? The war tiger kept its things, its eyes were filled with anger, staring straight at Long Fei with killing intent. He was not afraid of Long Fei. He was just worried that the Zhon clan would suffer a great loss in strength. Things that could be solved with holy artifact were not even considered matters to him. At this moment, following Yang Huang Ancestor's order, the surrounding disciples of the Empyrean Terminus sect had already rushed down like a surging tide, their killing intent filling the air. Yang Huang Ancestor protected Long Fei's body in case of a sneak attack by the ancestors of Zhon's. Long Fei grinned and said, It doesn't matter if you're afraid of me or not, today I will annihilate your entire Zhon clan. Do you know why? Because you've offended me. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's forehead turned sinister, and the idea moved. Transform. Shua. The 100 layers of energy activated, and a powerful force from the golden cudgel poured into Long Fei's body, instantly becoming Sun Wukong. He pointed at the Wartiger's face and smiled. Boss, today, I will kill you. The ancient Myriad Spirit set must be hiding some secret. Moreover, the War Tiger certainly did not take out all of its ancient Myriad Spirit set, forcing it to take it out. They might as well take it out themselves. In any case, they were going to kill it. The Wartiger's eyes moved, and the divine aura on its body, as well as its killing intent intertwined together, all of a sudden moved. Fast. It was too fast. The Yang Huang ancestor's gaze trembled as he said, "Long Fei, be careful." Not waiting for him to finish. Long Fei had already rushed forward to face him head-on, and roared out, "Earlier, you ambushed me, and now I'm going to kill you." He wasn't afraid in the slightest. Face to face. There was an explosion in the sky. Rumble. 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 Countless golden lights flashed, as if the sky was splitting apart. The two streams of light bounced away, and then clashed against each other in an instant. Rumble. A huge explosion shook the sky. The entire Zhonclan Valley was enveloped by the thunderous sound. Powerful energy surged out in all directions, causing many people to tremble in fear. The Yang Huang ancestor looked at the sky and smiled slightly. "Good boy, the cultivation of the semi-realistic realm has already surpassed the cultivation level of the one-star godhood powerhouse. It looks like you're ready. Ha ha ha. I'm really looking forward to it." Yang Huang ancestor was very excited. From the god's martial continent's point of view, he watched Long Fei walk towards the peak step by step. In just a few years, had reached the peak once again. Too strong. Yang Huang ancestor could not find any other word to describe Long Fei. The feeling Long Fei gave him was that he would definitely be placed within the main temple. It was even above main temple. Rumble. Another collision, a loud sound. Two streaks of light shot out. Long Fei rubbed the bridge of his nose, feeling very unhappy. He muttered in his heart, "How can I fully unleash the power of the second stage?" Until now, Long Fei was unable to release all of his power. It wasn't that he didn't want to. Instead, it was because he couldn't do it. He always felt that he was missing something. He was unable to unleash all of the Sun Wukong's power, so the power of the second stage was definitely stronger than the main guns. However, although the main gun could kill instantly, he was still unable to crush the war tiger. This made him unhappy. What should I do? How can I fully unleash the power of the second stage? Long Fei asked himself in his heart as he continued to ponder over this question. Again, Long Fei shouted, "Shua." His body moved like lightning as the golden cudgel in his hand smashed down fiercely. Rumble. The sword in the Wartiger's hand pierced forward. Weapons intersected, flames filled the sky. Immense energy erupted like a volcanic eruption in all directions. As long as these energy ripples hit a person, they would be instantly killed and vaporized in an instant. The Wartiger's heart sunk, her heart was shocked. What kind of power is this kid training? Why is it not God power, but instead doesn't lose it? Zhong Xian felt unconvinced. He was a powerhouse at the peak of the one-star godhood and had condensed his divine spark for hundreds of years. He did not believe that someone in the Chaos Realm would be his match, even if they were the newly emerged Yang Huang ancestor. Ah! The war tiger roared, and then once again crazily rushed forward. One step into the sky. In the sky, tens of thousands of phantoms appeared. The sky and earth were filled with Wartiger's silhouettes, each of them looking like their true forms. Absolutely. A sword struck out. The sky darkened and streams of power rushed towards Long Fei, just like the scythes of the god of death. It was incomparably sharp. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, and the golden cudgel in his hand shook. Rumble. The ground cracked. Long Fei shouted in a deep voice, and said, "I don't believe that I won't be able to kill you." Anger burned in his heart. The idea swam across his entire body. Long Fei asked himself once again, "Monkey, how can I unleash all of your power? Tell me." No response. Long Fei had not even used 1/10,000th of the second stage strength. The main gun could kill people instantly. The second stage of the transformation should be more powerful enough to instantly kill any human, and that was the main artifact. However, Long Fei couldn't find the power to instantly kill them. What was it? How could he unleash his full strength? Monkey did not say anything, because Long Fei was a monkey now. The system did not respond either. The system could not tell him all this, because the system was only there to assist him. Everything depended on Long Fei. Long Fei's forehead was tightly locked, He looked at the 10,000 swords in the sky piercing towards him. What is it? What is it? Suddenly. At this moment, the sleeping beauty opened its eyes and lazily said, Master, think about it. Where did your power come from? Go find the source. Source. Long Fei was shocked. Source. Source. Origin. Long Fei continuously read the two words. What's the source? The source is the dragon coffin. It's the power of the first stage. The source of the power of the Sun Wukong's transformation is from the golden cudgel. The golden cudgel is the dragon coffin, it only transformed its form. Long Fei looked at the golden cudgel beside him. Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed and said, the power of the transformation comes from the golden cudgel, which means the power of the transformation comes from the golden cudgel. Long Fei gripped it tightly. Huff. Closing his eyes, his idea entered the golden cudgel. This was a special world. It was filled with endless power. This was a space of power. It could be said that this was not a golden cudgel. It was only a form of the main artifact. Strength. Explode. Long Fei arrived at the origin of the main artifact's power. At this moment, Yang Huang ancestor was slightly shocked. Long Fei, what are you doing? A few Zhon clan elders revealed an excited smile. This brat must be scared silly. Ha ha ha. The war tiger laughed crazily. Die. Chapter 1617, Mysterious World, Power of Origin. Chapter 1617, Mysterious World, Power of Origin. Main artifact was not a single dragon coffin, main gun, nor was it a single golden cudgel, power of transformation. It was a very special existence. Because of it, the dragon race was being hunted down, and their entire race was on the verge of being exterminated. What was its source? The instant Long Fei's idea entered the golden cudgel, he felt a completely different world. An unimaginable world. Long Fei, Long Fei, Long Fei. One voice after another entered his mind. Suddenly, Long Fei suddenly came back. He immediately retracted his idea and stared, seeing the 10,000 swords fall. His mind moved. That mysterious world, that world that came from the world, suddenly erupted with an extremely strong power. It was a divine power that did not belong to this world. Nor did it belong to the great sage's power released from the Sun Wukong. This was the origin force of the main artifact's mysterious world. Shua. Long Fei moved and swept his hand. Rumble. The 10,000 swords shattered into fine powder that fell from the sky, scattering down bit by bit like falling stars. It was an incomparably beautiful scene. It was also at this moment. The war tiger's body sank. Puff. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His entire body exploded outwards, and a shocking damage value appeared above his head, 10 billion. 10 billion. On the other hand, the amount of blood on the war tiger's head was only left with a little bit of skin. It was a fierce exchange of damage. Rumble. 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 The war tiger pierced through a huge mountain and flew out for hundreds of kilometers in a straight line. Big brother. Big brother. Master. The Zhon clan valley suddenly became silent as everyone looked into the distance. The faces of the Zhon clan disciples all turned pale. Just now, what was that power? Yang Huang ancestor was also shocked as he muttered to himself, what power? He had also never seen such power before. Too powerful. He felt that he had surpassed the control of this world, surpassed the binding power of all the laws of the Chaos Realm, and was extremely terrifying. Long Fei was the same. He shouldn't be scared. In that instant, the 10,000 swords fell and his ideas were pulled out from that mysterious world. They brought out a little bit, and a little bit, just a little bit, as thin as silk, actually caused such a huge injury. F***ck. This is too terrifying. Long Fei was overwhelmed with shock. He finally understood why the Dragon Clan was being hunted, and even killed. This power was too terrifying. Just now, he only brought out a tiny bit of power. If all the power in the mysterious world was under his control, then this world. Long Fei didn't dare imagine. Looking at the golden cudgel in his hand, Long Fei wanted to enter the mysterious world again, but realized that he couldn't. What kind of power are you exactly? Just where did you come from? Long Fei's heart became incomparably curious. In another world. In an unknown world, a giant white pagoda hummed as it rose into the sky. Next. The entire world was in turmoil because of this. The source energy has been activated. Quickly go and search. No matter which plane he is in, he definitely has to find it for me. He definitely has to. An elder was extremely excited as he looked at the sky. His face flushed red as he said excitedly, "Is the awakening finally coming true? Ha ha ha. It's finally about to be awakened." Tens of thousands of streaks of light flew towards the sky. They all entered into various planes to search. Huff. Long Fei deeply exhaled and said with a heavy voice, "I still have a little more blood, your father will blow you up." He took a step forward. Shua. With one step, he flew to the location of the war tiger. At this moment, ancestors of Jean's rose up from the ground and blocked Long Fei's path, and a big blade cut down from the sky. Long Fei, die. Boom. Without waiting for the big blade to fall, Yang Huang ancestor's figure disappeared, and his palm struck the ancestors of Jean's chest. Crack. Crack. His chest cracked, and his body suddenly split into pieces. Yang Huang ancestor grinned and said, "Brat, do whatever you want to do. No one has the qualifications to stop you." Long Fei smiled slightly and said, "Ancestor, I shall leave this to you." Shua. Quickly teleporting out, they arrived at the Wartiger's landing point within 2 breaths of time. He still had a little bit of HP left, so he had to kill him first. Only by doing this would he be able to reveal the ancient myriad spirit set, as well as what was hidden within it. When Long Fei arrived, he casually killed dozens of battle family disciples. Berserk energy increased to rank 3. War Tiger. Explode for me. Boom. Long Fei took a step forward, heavily landing on the ground. A powerful energy shockwave swept out from the ground, and the reaction of his idea also spread out. However, what shocked Long Fei the most was that there were no Wartiger's auras within a radius of 100 miles. The war tiger was severely injured, so even if his cultivation was higher than Long Fei's, at this point of time, it was impossible for him to conceal his own presence. However, right now, he could not feel even the slightest bit of the Wartiger's aura. Dead. Only the dead had no breath. That's not right. Long Fei's heart sank. The war tiger still has a little bit of HP. It's impossible for him to die so easily. It's absolutely impossible. He must have escaped. Rub. My big boss. How can you escape? Long Fei was enraged. He was extremely unhappy. Even the cooked duck flew away. This was 2F** King stupid. War tiger. You're going to die. Long Fei roared. He was extremely unhappy. If he had taken advantage of the victory to give chase, the war tiger would not have been able to escape. F***ck. You coward, isn't the divine awesome? Flee your sister. No matter how Long Fei cursed, the war tiger did not make a single sound. Long Fei searched a few times but still did not find any traces of war tiger. It was clear that he was no longer in this place. And then, Long Fei also did not stay any longer. He simply could not catch up to a one-star god. He believed that the war tiger would come out again in the future. Right now, Long Fei's goal was to attract Zhon Wushuang over. That was what was most important, and his purpose in coming here was also Zhon Wushuang. Shua. Long Fei instantly landed in Zhonjiao Valley. At this moment, the entire Zhon clan's disciples and 2 Zhon's elder S were also crushed by the Yang Huang ancestor. The power of Long Fei's transformation disappeared as he walked in front of Zhon Tiantu and said, "Clan Master Zhon, hurry up and call Zhon Wushuang over. I know you can send a sound transmission to him." Zhon Tiantu laughed coldly and said, "Long Fei, do you think I would call him down? He can immediately enter the ancient holy battlefield and he can immediately—" "Your sister." Long Fei slapped his face down and roared towards the sky, "Zhon Wushuang, do you still want your father's life? If you don't want it." Hee hee. Long Fei revealed a murderous smile. In order to protect Shenyuan Li, Long Fei did everything he could. Chapter 1618 War Tiger Mad. Chapter 1618 War Tiger Mad Shenyuan Li's situation was extremely dangerous. Long Fei had no choice but to do so. Moreover, if the Zhon clan angered him, everyone would die. Zhon Tiantu's cheeks were red and swollen, and her eyes were bloodshot. She shouted, "Long Fei, just you wait, everything you have done to the Zhon clan today, Wu Shuang will definitely repay you tenfold, 100-fold, ha ha ha." Long Fei laughed coldly, "Then call him over. Let's see whether he will repay me or I will repay him." Long Fei was afraid that Zhon Wushuang would not come. Moreover, what was the situation with the Tower Question of God? Long Fei didn't even know how the 8 King Kong was doing. How is Shenyuan tribe's man? Long Fei did not know about any of this. Rumble. 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 The Tower Question of Goddess released a loud noise as the power of the 8 King Kong directly destroyed the Heavenly Palace's door. The moment they entered the fairyland of Tower Question of God, Li Yuanbar looked at the golden tower in the distance and asked, "Is this tower the Tower Question of God?" Nangong Yang said, "That's right, that's the Tower Question of God. Shenyuan Li should be at the top level, Zhon Wushuang should be waiting there." Shenyuan Xiong looked at the golden tower and shouted, "Leah, buzz." The sky shook. Golden shadows flew out from all directions. "You bunch of ants, you dare to behave so atrociously in the Tower Question of God? Someone, come, kill them all." The S of the Law Enforcement Hall, the Golden Guard Group and the Tower Question of God all flew out in unison and surrounded 8 King Kong and the others. "Humph! You look so high and mighty. When our Shenyuan nationality was born, we didn't have trash like you, nor did we have the so-called Tower Question of God." The few elders from the Shenyuan nationality's elders' pavilion shone with a bright light as a strong power gushed out. Shenyuan Xiong looked at Li Yuanbar and said, "Yuan Ba, the Tower Question of God only has one way to go up, and that is to go all the way there, you guys." Li Yuanbar looked at the Golden God's tower and said, "All right, King Kong, listen up. Enter the tower. Only by entering the Tower Question of Goddess could one rush up layer by layer. Otherwise, there was no other way. It was impossible to destroy the Tower Question of God, unless they possessed a power that was above this world." Shenyuan Xiong shouted, "Shenyuan tribe's man, clear the way, kill." A great battle was about to begin. The 100th floor. Zhon Wushuang laughed coldly, looked at the distant Shenyuan tribe's man that was the size of an ant and said, "A bunch of useless trash." The Tower Lord of the Tower Question of God was also enraged. "You dare to kill a Tower Question of God? How preposterous." And then, the Tower Question of God Tower Master turned into a ball of light and charged out. Zhon Wushuang did not mind. He looked at Shenyuan Li and smiled. "Leah, it seems like your clansmen have come to save you." When Shenyuan Li heard her father's voice, her eyes slightly opened, and she said, "Elder, my challenge has begun." The Saint Presbyter on the 100th floor stood up and said faintly, "Please." At the same time, a sound transmission sounded out in Zhon Wushuang's mind, "Young Master Wushuang, Zhon Clan. Warhouse was surrounded by Long Fei. Your father is currently at the brink of death." What? Zhon Wushuang's gaze tensed up. He never thought that Long Fei would actually dare to touch his family. The anger in his heart burst out in an instant. At this moment, another sound transmission entered into Zhon Wushuang's mind. "Wushuang, don't go back to Zhon Clan. Your priority right now is to wait for Shenyuan Li to break through the God's Tower. Remember, you only have one chance. Even if all the Zhon Clan members die, as long as you are alive, the Zhon Clan will have the chance to rise again." Zhon Wushuang's heart was moved. "Great Master." The voice of the War Tiger. Weak. The War Tiger said, "Don't go back, I will still be at Zhon Clan. I will take care of Long Fei." At this moment, in the 9 secret borders, the War Tiger's huge aura surged out, enveloping the huge dragon tomb, and growled out, "Spirit body fitted soul, open." Buzz. A loud sound echoed out. The dragon tomb began to tremble. The War Tiger's left hand moved, and with a glance, it swept past the spirit bodies floating in the 9 secret borders, and said with a heavy voice, "Come over here too." Boom. An enormous suction force came from the center of his palm that sucked all of the spiritual warriors within. Hoo 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 hoo. The Wartiger's hair was scattered in a bun and it was in an extremely sorry state. At this moment, he was like a madman. The fitted soul could only fuse one body, but he had absorbed all of the powerful dragons in the necropolis, as well as all of the spirit bodies in the 9 secret borders. There was only one goal. Kill Long Fei. The War Tiger shouted in a deep voice, Long Fei, I will definitely destroy you with my own hands. I will definitely kill you with my own hands. Ah. All of you, enter my body. Boom, boom, boom. The power within the Wartiger's body exploded outwards, resonating non-stop. Wave after wave of power exploded within his body. Those spiritual warriors wailed in pain. The War Tiger seemed to have gone berserk. Finally, boom. With a loud bang, the dragon's necropolis exploded. A super-huge, extremely sinister dragon spirit flew out from the dragon's necropolis, and let out a loud roar in the sky. The Wartiger's hands quickly formed into a seal, and a drop of blood essence fell from the 9 secret borders. Buzz. The entire secret world flashed with a red light. The red light was covered with dense runes. The War Tiger looked at the roaring Long Ling and laughed coldly, saying, You want to run? Mph, this old man will bet on the entire 9 secret borders, you won't be able to escape either. Enter my body. Buzz. The entire secret world was filled with runes, flickering with red light. Rune after rune turned into chains, continuously binding the dragon spirit. This was the first array that the ancestors of Jean's had set up. It was to prevent the dragon spirit from escaping. It was also the strongest power that was left to the Jean clan's descendants. The strongest fusion with the fitted soul technique. However, the consequence would be the destruction of the 9 secret borders. The War Tiger's were almost killed by Long Fei with just one move, his flesh was almost destroyed, and now he was giving it his all. As long as he could kill Long Fei, it didn't matter if the 9 secret borders was destroyed or not. Give it to me. Red light runes suddenly exploded. The dragon spirit that was struggling in the air slowly lost its power and was forcibly merged into the Wartiger's body. Roar! The colossal dragon roared. The War Tiger felt the immense power within the dragon spirit, and its body changed bit by bit. Purple dragon scales appeared on its skin, and its body emitted dragon aura. Strength. Ha ha ha. Powerful strength. Long Fei, let's see if you will die this time or not. The Wartiger's eyes turned from a pitch-black color to a deep red, on the verge of going berserk. At this moment, Jean Clan Valley. A violent vibration. Long Fei frowned. Could it be that there's still a big boss that hasn't come out? At the same time, a draconic roar came from deep underground. The colorful fairy dragon's eyes suddenly opened, and said, Dragon roar. Chapter 16-19 Boss Upgrade. Chapter 16-19 Boss Upgrade Roar. Roar. A series of sounds echoed in the air. The look on one of the ancestors of Jean's was aghast. The great senior brother, he. The great senior brother, he. Don't tell me. He fused with the monster in the dragon tomb? Long Fei sensed the chi around him, and smiled. Dragon roar, looks like 9 secret warrior family does have a dragon soul. At the same time, Long Fei crazily channeled all his energy. Ding. Energy level, 69. Ding. Energy level, 70. Ding. He still wanted to test the power of the mysterious world. Rumble. A loud sound echoed out. The depths of the valley suddenly caved in, and an entire mountain caved in. Soon after, it erupted, sending rocks and stones flying everywhere. A gigantic body emerged from the depths of the valley. Boom. The Jean Clan Valley continued to crumble as the entire mountain range shook. At this moment, the incomparably dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth was instantly sucked out and absorbed into that figure. What kind of monster is this? Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Could this be the Jean Clan's strongest boss? The Wartiger's escape just now had made Long Fei very unhappy. The ancient myriad spirit set had already flown away. If there was another fierce boss coming, Long Fei would definitely not miss it. Boom. A purple light exploded. A figure landed in front of Long Fei. Purple light boss. Long Fei's mind tensed up, he became excited, but when he saw the appearance of the war tiger, he became even more excited. It's you? However, why did you transform? Your purple armor is not bad, and your hair has turned purple. Not bad, you actually learned to transform. Long Fei was secretly surprised, and muttered in his heart, I didn't think that even bosses could level up. He had leveled up. The current war tiger was completely different from the one just now. His aura had also become completely different. Yang Huang ancestor frowned, and reminded Long Fei in a soft voice, Long Fei, be careful, this guy is different from before. The colorful fairy dragon said lightly, what he is wearing is not armor, but dragon scales. Purple dragon's dragon scales. Long Fei's heart sank as he asked, Divine Dragon, are you sure? The skin was covered with dragon scales, which should be unique to the dragon race. War Tiger could not own a dragon blood vein. The colorful fairy dragon nodded, I'm sure, he probably merged with the purple dragon's dragon spirit. We can't let him insult the dragon clan. Long Fei grinned and said, understood. So you're just a piece of trash wearing a dragon skin. Ding. Energy level complete. Current energy level, 100 levels. A system notification rang out. Long Fei looked at the monster-like war tiger, and lightly smiled, I didn't kill you just now. This daddy will definitely kill you. You. Long Fei. Die. His voice had changed. It had become very low. His voice was filled with explosive power. As soon as he finished, the war tiger took a step forward. Wang. A purple light flashed under his feet. The light was like waves that were slowly ejected. Long Fei grinned. In that instant, when the war tiger figure disappeared, Long Fei frowned. Bam! Long Fei's throat was suddenly grabbed, the war tiger's figure appeared, and the purple energy instantly lifted him up to the sky, then smashed him down fiercely. Chapter 1620, Revealing Power. Chapter 1620, Revealing Power. Boom. Hurry up and make sure no one is able to react. Long Fei was the same. He couldn't react in time. The moment he was lifted up into the air, Long Fei's idea moved. It wanted to activate the Sun Wukong's power, but, without waiting for him to awaken, he was smashed to the ground. The activation was interrupted. Phut! After spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood, Long Fei's back felt like it was about to split open. His entire body felt extremely uncomfortable. Ding. Red alert. Player's health point is too low, please add. Ding. Red alert. Player's health point is too low, please add. Ding. Red alert. Player's health point is too low, please add. With just one move, he had killed Long Fei. Moreover, this was purely power. Without any holy source power, this power was simply too strong. Long Fei. Yang Huang ancestor bellowed, the powerful energy in his body surging towards the war tiger. The war tiger raised its eyes slightly as its purple-red pupils widened. It shouted, scram, boom. He waved his right hand, sweeping it out. Shua. The power released by the Yang Huang ancestor was instantly crushed and his body was also blocked by a large amount of power. He was continuously forced back by the huge force and the blood underneath his chest was tumbling. At first, his cultivation was equal to the war tiger's. Now, they were not on the same level at all. He was not a match at all. Master. Many trolls ran up. Yang Huang ancestor suppressed the blood stench in his throat and shouted, do it. Boom. Several giant demon powerhouses charged towards the war tiger, releasing their strongest powers. You overestimate yourself. The war tiger's eyes turned cold. Looking at the dying Long Fei, it revealed a cold and scornful smile. Now, I want all of you to die. Buzz, war tiger's eyes turned sinister. Purple light condensed in her palms and she clasped her palms together. Burning heaven blaze. Burn. He opened his palms and abruptly released a powerful aura. The purple flames were like a raging fire snake, dancing furiously. The fire serpent giant demon that had just charged out turned into ashes in a flash and disappeared into thin air. Yang Huang ancestor's eyes darkened as he said, quickly retreat, run. Those monsters reacted fairly quickly, but that violet serpent of fire was even faster. As long as they touched a tiny bit of their body, they would instantly disappear, and even their primal souls would be destroyed. Terrifying. In a split second, a large number of disciples of the swordless school had died, and over 1,000 of them had turned into dozens of people. The war tiger laughed wildly in excitement. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The purplish-red eyes were even more ferocious. His eyes darkened as he stared at Long Fei, who was lying on the ground, and said, Long Fei, you must be crazy. You dared to provoke my Zhong clan? I want all 18 generations of your ancestors to be turned to ashes. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The strength of the dragon spirit and several hundred spiritual warriors made him extremely excited. This feeling of crushing everything beneath his feet was simply too refreshing. Moreover, the mind of the war tiger, who had been severely injured by Long Fei in one move, was in chaos, and right now, it was on the verge of going berserk. There was no way to block it. With the power of the purple dragon, even a powerhouse with a 2-star divine spark wouldn't be his match. Long Fei was currently unable to release the power of the system, thus he was unable to transform at all. However, at any moment, Long Fei would never give up, even in a desperate situation. The idea sank. Long Fei stood in front of the colorful fairy dragon and said, Shenlong, it's your turn, right? In addition, didn't I say that I would give you a present? Now it's time for me to show you. No one has to worry. Chapter 1621 Power to Explosion. Chapter 1621 Power to Explosion. The fusion of the dragon spirits had turned the war tiger into a monster. His strength, his cultivation, had received an unprecedented increase, and he had completely suppressed Long Fei's existence. Even the system's power was interrupted, unable to release it. Very strong. It had to be said that the war tiger's power was so strong that it seemed to explode. However, Long Fei did not give up. He would never give up. Facing the war tiger's domineering pressure, he still had other cards he had not used. The idea sank and said, Colorful fairy dragon, it's time to show you the present I've given you. Buzz. The idea moved, taking the huge blade in the middle of the space ring. Colorful ancient blade. In front of the colorful fairy dragon. The blade was surrounded by a 7-colored halo. It was released with an unstoppable force, which was exclusive to colorful fairy dragon causing Long Fei to not be able to see its attributes. However, he was sure that the blade was very sharp. When the colorful fairy dragon saw this blade, her entire body was covered. Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. This blade. This blade. His expression became excited. His body trembled slightly as he looked at the blade, and he said in shock, This blade is a divine weapon forged by our colorful fairy dragon It disappeared without a trace in the last battle. This is the biggest loss for our colorful fairy dragon. We spent tens of millions of years searching for it, but to no avail. You, how did you find it? His expression became more and more agitated. Colorful ancient blade was the inheritance of the colorful fairy dragon race, and it meant that they were at the pinnacle. Moreover, this huge blade contained incomparable power. His strength was beyond imagination. Because it was made from an entire plane, the plane of the Arceus region. Long Fei said, Let's not talk about this for now, let's kill the war tiger first. The rainbow divine power shuddered as it immediately said, Let me out. His heart was filled with gratitude. Not only did Long Fei let him see the hope of the dragon clan, he also helped the colorful fairy dragon clan achieve their long-cherished wish. He owed Long Fei, so he had to repay him. Long Fei grinned excitedly and laughed, then said, Come. At this moment, the war tiger looked at the proud smile on Long Fei's face and said, Smiling? You'll cry later, ha ha ha. Long Fei, go to hell. Roar. The dragon cries from the war tiger were rampaging as their power crazily burst forth. At this moment, roar. An even more ferocious dragon roar sounded out, and a huge dragon with 7-colored glints in its eyes rushed out. Its huge body directly covered the sky. It was impossible to see it clearly. His body continued to roll in the air. Dragon. A huge dragon. It's a dragon. The Zhon clan disciples looked at the sky ferociously as their faces turned pale. The Yang Huang ancestor smiled. Good boy, to think that you would actually find a dragon in the Chaos Realm. Slightly sensing the aura of the colorful fairy dragon, Yang Huang ancestor's heart sank. This fellow is many times stronger than the dragon ancestors of God's martial continent. Green dragon ancestor and colorful fairy dragon were on completely different levels. There was no comparison. In the dragon clan, the Azure Dragon was just a disciple of the Dragon Clan, an existence at the very edge. Colorful Fairy Dragon were different. His status was lofty, and his strength was incomparably powerful. His huge body crushed the entire Zhon clan valley, including the War Tiger. The War Tiger's eyes turned sinister as it looked at the sky and laughed sinisterly. You're right, it is indeed a giant dragon from the divinity. However, you have to die too. The War Tiger's eyes turned, once again staring at Long Fei. A purple force smashed towards Long Fei. Kill Long Fei first, then deal with the colorful fairy dragon. Since Long Fei did not die, he was unhappy. However, his speed was fast, but the colorful fairy dragon's speed was even faster. When a huge sword landed on the dragon claw, the strength of his body drastically changed. Buzz! A loud explosion resounded. The War Tiger's power was instantly crushed. It was as if the raging flames had turned into a small flame, and the power within it vanished in an instant. His palm strike onto Long Fei's body felt less powerful than scratching an itch. Although the power behind this palm strike had disappeared, Long Fei's heart still tightened. If this palm strike landed, he would die without a doubt. The system had issued a red alert. His health point was almost unable to hold out. I didn't die. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed wildly and said, War Tiger, your time is up. The War Tiger's forehead turned sinister, the dragons inside its body roared, and tens of thousands of spirits cried out in grief. The power in its body struggled madly, breaking the shackles of the colorful fairy dragon. But it was impossible. Long Fei stood up from the ground, his eyebrows moved, and said, Divine Dragon, let me do it. Fitted soul. Merge. Shua. The colorful fairy dragon's body instantly returned to Long Fei's body. The injuries on Long Fei's body were completely ignored, and he flipped with his right hand. The colorful ancient blade landed in his hands. He took a step forward. Boom. The ground began to crack, as though it was dying. The pressure was instantly retracted. The suppression of the War Tiger's power disappeared. Long Fei did not like it when people were releasing their pressure on him, nor did he like it when people were releasing their pressure. He looked at the War Tiger coldly and said, Come, let me blow you up. Shua. He took a step forward. At this moment, the War Tiger roared, Ah! Long Fei, die. Powerful energy collided together, and the air emitted crackling sounds as it exploded, directly igniting into flames. Then, Long Fei's aura moved, combining the colorful fairy dragon's power with the colorful ancient blade's power and cleaved down with one slash. Rumble. Rumble. It was as though heaven and earth were being split apart, and the entire primordial chaos itself was trembling. The blade chi that erupted from the colorful ancient blade extended out for millions of kilometers, like a colorful ray of light exploding out. A strike that was strong enough to explode. The entire Zhon clan valley was collapsing. The houses were in ruins and the mountains were collapsing. The Zhon clan disciple was so scared that he directly kneeled on the ground while shivering. He had never been this scared before. Even the fairyland of Tower Question of God tens of millions of kilometers away were trembling. This slash. Everyone in the Chaos Realm saw it. Earth-shaking, indescribable. As for the War Tiger, under this blade, his strength was like that of an ant being chopped into two halves. In front of this blade, he had no power to retaliate at all. The long gash on the top of his head was once again revealed. This time, it went directly to zero, instantly killing tens of billions of HP in an instant. At the same time, Long Fei also felt his scalp go numb. Just now, The damage that floated above the Wartiger's head had reached 999 million points. This blade was too awesome. Long Fei was extremely shocked. The idea moved. Release your striking attribute. Explode for me. Chapter 1622 Universal Soul. Chapter 1622 Universal Soul. The system sounded out. Long Fei's body faintly loosened as he let out a deep breath, and silently said, "Come." Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing variant Wartiger for obtaining 1 billion experience, 100 million holy source points, and 10 energy values. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient Thousand Spirit Cauldron. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining ancient Myriad Spirit Armor. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient Myriad Spirit Bead. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining ancient Myriad Spirit Boots. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the ancient Myriad Spirit Sword. A total of 18 sets. It could be said to be the most perfect set that Long Fei had dropped up till now. Other than that, the system continued to explode. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Dragon Soul. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 1000 Spiritual Warriors S. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Wartiger for obtaining a special reward from the system. The reward is Universal Soul. My God. When Long Fei heard the words Universal Soul, Long Fei's mind suddenly tensed up. Even the Sleeping Beauty suddenly woke up. Titan King's remnant soul also shook violently. The two of them were stunned. How can this be? It's impossible for the universal large world's presence to appear here. Master, what exactly is that power in your body? The Sleeping Beauty asked in shock. She was an omnipotent existence. She would not be shocked in any way, but now that she was, it could be seen how awesome the universal soul reward from the system was. Long Fei grinned and did not answer. The Universal Soul. Ha ha ha. System, you are really awesome. Long Fei could not help it. Something that could shock the Sleeping Beauty to such an extent must be really powerful. And then, Long Fei did not check the secrets of the ancient Myriad Spirit set. Instead, he directly checked the properties of the Universal Soul. He looked at the wisps of white smoke within the space ring, which were like cotton candy. There was nothing out of the ordinary about it. Long Fei's idea also could not feel any energy at all, as if it was a useless thing. Then, Long Fei's idea moved. Item, Universal Soul Attribute. Damage. Attack. Description, Fusion Item. They were all question marks and there was no explanation at all. There was only a description of fused items. Long Fei was immediately annoyed and said, "What are those things?" "None of the attributes. Isn't Starbook awesome enough? Your Universal Soul can actually not see the slightest bit of it, your sister." How infuriating. Long Fei seemed to know how awesome the Universal Soul was. However, the system did not give him this chance. It was just a question mark. He could not see any attributes at all. Looking at the 4 words fused items, Long Fei controlled his idea and said, "If I can't see your attributes, then I'll fuse you together first. I'll definitely see your attributes, right?" Immediately, the idea moved. Merge. Ding. Fusion failed. Ding. System notification. The Universal Soul cannot be fused into the body. F***CK. Long Fei immediately burst out with a vulgarity. If you say it's a fused item and it can't be fused into the body, then where can it be fused into the body? Huh. What the heck? How infuriating. Long Fei cursed in his heart. The Universal Soul is definitely a good thing, but with the good thing in your hand, you don't even know how to use it. The Sleeping Beauty said slightly, "Master, there are many different types of Universal Soul." The omniscient Sleeping Beauty spoke up. She knew more about Universal Soul than Long Fei. Huh. Long Fei was startled, and immediately asked, "Then what kind of cultivation technique do I need to fuse it with? What kind of energy will erupt after the fusion is complete? Can you see the attributes of the Universal Soul?" The Sleeping Beauty shook her head and said, "I don't know either. Every single universal soul has its own intelligence, so it appearing here means that it is fated to be with you. It should be able to help you fuse a special and unique cultivation method. It will choose on its own. Master, you don't need to intervene too much. It will help you fuse the most perfect of cultivation techniques. Long Fei was shocked. He muttered a word in his heart: intelligence. Being able to choose on one's own was very special. That's the same as having a mind of your own. Intelligent creatures. But he was just an aura, yet he had thought. How amazing was this? Then, Long Fei thought about the game system in his mind again. You even leaked something from the universal large world. Where did you come from? Who created you? The striking system in his body did not appear out of thin air. It must have a creator. Who is this creator? Long Fei thought that maybe he could do it, but since the Star Book of the Titan King had revealed the universal soul, then the creator must be even stronger than what Long Fei had imagined. Huff. Long Fei thought. To Long Fei, the question of who the creator of the system was and where it came from was a question that he could not think through. This is too damaging to the brain. And then, Long Fei looked at other things again. Especially the 18 ancient myriad spirit sets. These items all flashed with a yellow lament. Item: Ancient 10,000 Spirit Cauldron Attribute. Description: Fusion items. Item: Ancient Myriad Spirit Armor Attribute. Description: Fusion items. The attributes of all 18 pieces of the primordial myriad spirit set were all the same. All of them were fusion items and all of them were question marks. Are you King messing with me? Isn't this too much? System, can we still have fun together? Long Fei felt extremely bitter in his heart. He was about to cry because of the 4 words. Is there a need to play with me like this? A fused item? But how can I fuse them? Fuse what? Is this also a fused cultivation method? There was no clue. The system did not have any prompts, but the yellow exclamation mark on the myriad spirit set still existed, which meant that it had yet to be activated. Huff. Long Fei exhaled a long breath and said, Divine Dragon, now that the dragon soul is in your hands, you should fuse and recover your own strength. Now. Long Fei glanced at Zhong Clan, who was in a mess. Zhong Clan had already been annihilated. There was a possibility for them to rise again. There was still one more person that he had to kill. Zhong Wushuang. Long Fei looked afar. Zhong Wushuang. Wash your ass clean and wait for Lousy to explode. This time. You will definitely be blown up. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.